The Holy Bible, the King James Version. The Book of Psalms, Psalm 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish.
Hello, welcome to Toronto Bible Study. I'm your host, Mike Sampats, and today we're talking to Triple A from Now That's Debatable. Here's my special guest today. Hello, sir. How are you?
What's going on, bro?
Good. Nice to see you, man. So me and Triple A have been having some conversations about morality and God and whether God is even necessary for morality. And so last week I was on his channel. We talked about secular morality and his kind of understanding of that. And now and I was questioning him about it, like whether how it could work, whether it works or not. And now he's gonna come on here and today question me about Christian morality and whether it works. So I'm looking forward to this one. How's your stream going there, brother?
I'm trying to figure out where mine is, but
Can't see it?
I'm sure it'll pop up. If it doesn't, then I mean it's whatever. I will just add it later.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
So
can hear kind of echoing, like a little bit of echoing. I think it's coming through on both, maybe. I don't know.
hold on, let me see
I can
here.
see you on the other side.
Now I should sound really clear.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay, the echo went away though, right?
No, it's not. It's not echo. It's almost like maybe it's just because I'm watching both streams right now. I can hear you on both. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Anyway, it's all good. So how do we doing this?
All right. So I first,
go ahead.
so you think Christianity? No, you think morality only works with God. So first, I just like to hear how your moral system works. Just give me a overview. So let's say I walk up to somebody out in the street, I shank them. Why is that wrong?
Why is that wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's wrong because morality is a real objective thing in the world.
Okay.
And yeah, well, you can deny it, but we're just saying in our system, in our belief system, it is. And so we have moral obligations such as not hurting people, etc. And those are real, and that's why it's wrong. What do you think?
Okay. What makes something wrong?
Okay, what makes something wrong? It's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, so we can say morality is a set of objective moral truths, objective truths, let's say, about what rational moral agents such as humans ought to do and ought not to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then those things are grounded in God's perfectly morally good nature. So because God is perfectly morally good, he creates a universe in which morally good obligations are true, are real.
Okay. So is God the standard?
Yeah, he is the standard. Yes, he's the standard. You can say, yeah, he's the standard. Yes.
Okay. All right. So when I shank somebody,
Mhm.
it's wrong because God doesn't like it.
Not because God doesn't like it, but the fact that God doesn't like it is the indicator of why it's wrong. Like, for
Okay. What is the
example,
reason?
the reason why it's wrong. The reason why it's
Yeah.
wrong. Yes. Well, we would just say that yes, moral obligations are real things in a universe created by a perfectly good God. Because he is perfectly good
Okay.
morally.
Sure. Moral
He,
obligations are real things.
mhm.
Okay. But why is an act wrong? What makes something right? What makes something wrong? So if remember, so in my system, I gave you a standard, right? It was well-being. Something's right if it contributes to well-being. Something's wrong if it detributes to well-being, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so what is the standard in your system?
Well, the standard. Oh, if you could say, okay. Well, I mean, and that kind of way of understanding it, like, okay, well-being was your thing. Contributing to well-being makes it good. To take it away from
Yeah.
well-being makes it
What
bad.
I'm asking is there some sort of objective criteria that I can
Criteria,
act to
right, right,
determine
right,
whether or not it's moral?
right. The criteria
If
would
so,
be:
what
is
is
it
that?
loving? Is it loving? Like, and loving. By loving, we mean doing things for other people's good, and well-being is a gauge of that. But doing things for other people's good, and sacrificing yourself for their good over, like, your where
Okay.
you put other people's good over your own, you know.
All right. Well, this is troubling because you said a God is required, and I asked you for the standard, and you told me something, and God was entirely absent from it. You said doing things that are loving, doing things that's helpful to
Well,
people.
okay, well,
Sure.
the reason why we know what loving is because of God. Like, Jesus gives us this standard of what loving is by his death on the cross. He died for us.
You're
That's the
saying that
standard of
nobody knew what love was prior to Jesus dying on the cross. So
no,
like,
no one
so
had a
we're talking about
true.
20, 30 BC.
Mhm.
Man couldn't love his wife and children. He wouldn't even know what
No,
that
no,
means.
no. I'm not saying that. People had a vague idea of morality because it's kind of written on our hearts. But the true example, the true proper exemplar was Christ, and he gave us the fullest understanding of what it is to love.
Okay, but people had love prior to Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so you had love prior to Jesus. So you have
Mm-hmm.
love without him. You can do loving things without him. You can do
No, no, no,
moral
no, no.
things even by your standard without God.
No, no. What I'm saying though is, so Jesus gave us the best example, right? But before Jesus, God had already created us with this moral law in our hearts already. So we
Hmm.
had some understanding of it, like a basic understanding of morality. It's kind of intrinsic to our nature. And so that's
Whoa,
why
whoa, whoa.
people are able
It's
to.
intrinsic to our nature. Okay, so then you don't need God for it. If it's intrinsic to our nature,
No,
then all we need is our nature. Humanity is sufficient.
no, we need God because He's the one that created us with it. First of all, secondly, it's intrinsic, but it's also not fully explicated. Like, the
That
thing
doesn't
is,
mean that you need God. Like I created my daughter, but that doesn't mean she needs me for morality.
oh, so wait. No, 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 no. That's different. That's different. You created your daughter. You can't create her in a way where morality is intrinsic to her nature, whereas God did that for us. So because He created us with
If
morality intrinsic to our nature, that's why we're able to have morality. If He didn't,
what do you mean by morality being intrinsic to our nature?
like, our kind of understanding of human life and the world and society is there's this
That's
basic
not
nature to.
intrinsic. That has to be developed. Like
No, no, I
children,
would
you have to
say.
teach them. Like you have to teach them morality.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
you have any children?
No, no, yeah, for sure,
Okay,
for sure. We
yeah,
teach kids
it's
morality.
definitely not intrinsic.
No, no, no. What I mean is, no, intrinsic in the sense of, like, human, like, yes. If a child grew up in the forest by themselves, then they probably wouldn't have morality and such,
That
right?
shows you that it's not intrinsic.
But no,
Then
no, no. But wait. They might still have some inklings of it, like, in the sense of not wanting to hurt other people and stuff like that. Probably, or
may
maybe
or may
not
not. Some
not
people just
wanting.
like hurting other people, and it's just
No,
part of
no,
their
yeah,
nature.
liking the fact that they like it doesn't mean that it isn't, like, that they don't know it's wrong, or that they don't know have some
They
inclination
may or
towards
may
that
not
it's
know
wrong.
that it's wrong. They may not
Yeah, we
have
don't know.
the
We don't know. I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure scientifically, but
like
what I'm
psychopaths.
saying is what I'm saying is that within human societies,
Hmm.
I don't think humans are basically animalistic. I think we're basically kind of societal, familial. So, like in Adam and Eve, like that story, right? Like, how we're basically, our
Hmm.
basic fundamental um cultural components are familial and societal, okay, rather than just animalistic. So starting there,
Okay, why
you
do we
already
need
have this
God?
kind of
Why do we need God from the moral system?
well, without him, he wouldn't have created us with this understanding of
But
morality,
okay, we
right?
just acknowledge the fact that we don't that is not intrinsic. So evidently,
What
God didn't create us with it. Like
why
like
do you say it's not
morality is
intrinsic?
something that has to be developed. I thought you conceded that point when you talked when I brought up children and we talked about somebody being brought up in the wilderness or something like that, right? So
No, no, because why would the person brought up in the wilderness be like that, right? Because they're by themselves, right? But I'm saying in
right,
any
if it
kind of
was intrinsic, so like here's the like for instance, like needing
yeah,
food,
okay, like
that
dude,
is intrinsic. It doesn't matter where you're born in society or
hey,
not, you're going to need
listen,
food.
if you want to like split hairs over what's intrinsic and what the word means, like we could do that. But I'm saying morality requires this kind of societal thing, right? Where people are
Okay,
agreeing to treat each other in a certain
when
way,
you say
right?
intrinsic,
Mm.
okay, maybe it is important to define this word because you used it, and I thought we had a common understanding of
Yeah,
it. Like
because I do
intrinsic
think
means it is in and of itself. If it was intrinsically moral, it is in and of itself. Has this moral epistemology. For instance, like a child, by virtue of being human, he has an understanding of morality. That is what you were
yeah,
strongly
I do think
implying.
that occurs.
But
That
then when
occurs.
I
But
push back, you acknowledge that
no,
wasn't the case.
because morality is a thing that relies on some kind of societal interaction, right? It does
Yeah,
rely on that.
it
So you
and
don't
this
have
race.
wait. So wait. Hold on,
Okay,
stop. We don't have morality without that kind of societal structure, some kind of societal structure, even if it's just one family or whatever. We
I
need some kind
agree.
of thing like that. Okay, so
That's the point. So
so
then why
that's
do we
no,
need
no, no,
God?
wait. So no,
Okay,
wait. Before we go to that, the reason why I said it's kind of intrinsic is because anytime you have a human group in that, at least at that level, you have some kind of moral structure there. If a child is
that's
raised
not
in the wilderness,
intrinsic then.
wait,
Okay,
wait. If a child is raised in the wilderness by themselves, that's they're not given that ability to function in that kind of structure. That's why they might not develop in that way. But
it
they're not only gonna have that bad
it
development.
shouldn't
They're gonna have
matter
all kinds.
if you're
Bro,
saying it's
dude,
the if you're
you're
saying
just
it's
being
contingent.
it's just like,
But if you're
dude.
saying it's contingent upon them being in a societal structure, then it is extrinsic. The morality comes from society,
It's
and then it has to be
because I think
taught to
no
the
because no
child. If it's
what I'm
intrinsic,
saying
he
what I'm saying
automatically
is
has it.
it's not intrinsic to the individual human, but it's intrinsic to human nature. And human nature, in my opinion, is not merely an individual human. Human nature is already societal. It's already grouped in families. There's no
So
human race without a man and a woman.
hold on.
There's no
So what do you mean it is intrinsic to human nature, but not to individual humans? Like it's true of humans collectively, but none of the particulars.
yeah
Is that so?
because
Any
individual
individual human has their immorality is not intrinsic, but for somehow on a collective scale, it is.
because morality isn't an individual thing. It's a thing between groups. It's a thing in groups,
I
right?
strongly disagree. If you were on a planet by yourself and you were snorting cocaine, it'd be immoral.
Snorting cocaine
I
would be
thought you'd
immoral.
agree with me on that, but I guess we don't. If you need a
I
society,
wouldn't
he could
necessarily
be by
agree with that.
himself cursing God. He's not doing anything wrong because he's not in a society
No,
apparently.
because that is a group. That's man and
No, he
God,
is a
right?
group. No, he's by himself. There's no society. There's just
No. What I'm saying, no, like, dude, I don't know. Like, I feel like you're kind of splitting hairs on things that aren't really relevant. I thought you were
no.
gonna talk to me about like,
Words are
but you're
important
just like
because
you're just digging down
words
something
has a
that's not really
level of
that important.
precision. No, but here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Yeah,
Words have a level of
dude.
precision that are really important. And so if you use
Yeah,
terms,
dude.
but if you use
Intrinsic in the sense that like humans in groups will have some kind of moral understanding between them. It's almost universal. You'll never find a human group that doesn't have some kind of moral understanding
I
between them.
agree.
All right, so
That
that's why I'm
that
saying
is not
it's basically
intrinsic
intrinsic.
morality.
No, it is. Because
It
the
is
reason why
not.
I say it is no, because you're trying to make intrinsic into this thing that it must be every individual must have it. If a child's raised in the woods, they won't have
Yes,
it.
that's
Well,
what it
that's
would
the
be
thing.
intrinsic.
Wait. No, that's not. It's not, because morality is not like, for example, obviously breathing oxygen is intrinsic to human nature. So
Yes,
even a child in the woods.
that is
So that's different. That's
intrinsic to
different.
humans.
No, that's different because that's a physical thing. Morality is like a higher level, like higher level
Morality
process.
would also be a
Also,
physical thing.
what? No, it's not physical. It's more of a
It
mental.
would if I come up and slap you in the head with a bat,
It's a
that's very
philosophical. Yeah, but
physical.
why is it wrong though? Yeah, but why is it wrong though? Because of a philosophical
From my
idea.
position, from the morality that I explained to you 2 weeks ago, it will be wrong because it violated your health.
I know, but why? Like, why do we think it's wrong? Because of a philosophical thing in our heads. It's not. It's not like something physical to our nature that says that's wrong. There's nothing physical in the physical world that says that's wrong. But we might say some physical actions are wrong because of our philosophy on it. And that's a philosophy that we learn from our parents, learn from our culture. It's not something you learn as a forest dwelling child raised by wolves. That's why I'm saying to you
Then
that
it's not
those
intrinsic.
cases. No, dude, stop like nitpicking this word. Anyway, let's move on
Wait,
for the
okay,
intrinsic thing.
it's not so. But this is
Well,
important.
what's your thing about intrinsic? Why is this intrinsic question important to you? Tell me that.
Well, so it's part of your system, and so if you say something's intrinsic, and then when you start explaining it, your explanation involves things that aren't intrinsic. I'm going to say, hey, there's a contradiction.
I tried to
And
explain.
but then you say, hey, it's not a contradiction. I'm just I am just being overly precise.
Yeah, I think you are. No, I think you're
No,
nitpicking because
that's not what's happening.
because I'll tell you again why. Like, you're trying to say, like, for example, when you said, for example, just now when you try to say morality is physical, right? It's because you're thinking, oh, if I hit you with a stick, that's immoral. That's a physical thing that's immoral. But the only reason we think it's immoral is because of a mental, philosophical decision we've come to, right? And that thing is not has been
No,
taught to us.
so you conflated things. You were talking about the reason I think it's immoral versus what makes it immoral.
No, that's also
the
another thing.
ontology of this moral
Also,
status is
yes, bro.
firmly
Yes, I
rooted
know.
in the
Yes,
physical
I get that.
world.
Yes, I get that.
Okay.
So the ontology, not physical world, but the ontology of morality, yes, that's real. But
In the physical world.
how do we understand it? Not physical. I didn't say it's physical, but it's real. However, how do we understand it? Is not because of just our physical bodies having it in our instincts or whatever. It's something that's been kind of culturally given to us, taught to us. That's what I'm saying to you.
Okay,
And the
and
reason
that
why I
is
can say that,
okay.
the
Just
reason why
so
I
we're
can say
clear, that is not an intrinsic morality.
No, it is, because the reason
No,
why
it
I
is
say
not.
that,
That is not what
dude,
that word means.
dude. Anyway, again, you're still like you're nitpicking over this intrinsic thing. I'm telling you, it's because the reason why it's different than other intrinsic things. Like, yes, it's intrinsic to us
But
that humans have blood.
our words are important, right?
No, I know, but look,
Okay,
I did. Look,
you're acknowledging.
I did explain.
You're acknowledging that if you say morality is intrinsic, and then at the same time claim that morality comes from an external source, you are contradicting
No,
yourself.
I'm not saying it
That
comes
is
from
a
it.
contradiction.
I'm not saying it comes from an external source. I'm
You
saying
said
it
it comes
is
from society.
taught to. I said it's taught to us. Taught to us. We don't just learn it like instinctually. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with saying that, because it's unlike other things that are intrinsic to us. For example, as I said before, breathing oxygen is intrinsic to humans. Don't interrupt me, please. Right? Breathing oxygen is intrinsic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's something physical, so you can't like deny it, right? But something like morality, which is a philosophical thing, which we're not just going to learn from it doesn't come out of our physical bodies. It has to be taught to us by our families or by our societies. So that's why it's that. Well, even though I do think it's intrinsic to human nature, because I do think human nature is intrinsically grouped socially.
Okay.
Hold on, dude, bro, please.
Okay.
Well, I already did say this too. I do think human nature is intrinsically social. That's why I think morality is intrinsic to human nature at that social level. It doesn't mean that it's intrinsic to our physical bodies or that we will just naturally know it.
What you said is not intrinsic to a human, is intrinsic to human society.
Human nature.
But so if I'm alone in the woods, I have a human nature, but I may not have a moral understanding of moral system or have any morals at all.
Because the reason why, I did talk about this already, where I said that because morality again is different than breathing oxygen. It's something. It's a group social dynamic, and it's philosophical, not merely physical, right? Even a child growing up in the woods raised by wolves is not going to have that understanding. Doesn't mean they won't have any understanding of it. They might. They probably would. In my opinion, they probably would have some kind of feeling for it or some kind of instinctual thing for it, but it doesn't mean they'll have any understanding of it. So
there's a such thing as there's something called psychopaths who don't have any understanding of it as well. They just cannot empathize.
That's different. That's different. What they don't have, what they lack, they don't have a misunderstanding of morality. They
empathy.
They generally, they lack empathy. That's
right. So if you lack if you lack empathy, and then you're born separate from a society where no one's able to teach you anything, then you're going to have no basis of morality.
Okay,
which is the point. It is not intrinsic.
Just wait. First of all, that's an assertion. You don't know that that's true. Secondly,
no, it would be true. It would be true analytically. So if
it isn't.
There's two ways.
Now you're thinking. No. Wait. Stop.
You're cutting me off, and I can show you.
You're assuming. No. Stop.
It's not an assumption.
You're
it's based on the definitions we use.
No, you're assuming that empathy is some kind of basis for morality.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I can. You can say I'm not. I can. Or do you want to? Do you just want to keep saying that I am, or can I explain to you how I'm not doing that?
No, I'm just saying the mere fact that a person is a psychopath, so-called psychopath, if that's a real thing and a real physical thing you can be born with, and that person is born as a psychopath. And they're born as raised by wolves or whatever in the forest, okay? Like in that complete edge case, which is almost impossible, you're trying to say that proves that one case proves that there's no morality. If that's
it's not. It proves that it's not intrinsic.
No, again.
You're being extremely imprecise
here. No, because you're ignoring what I was saying to you about what is intrinsic.
I'm not. I was listening very carefully.
No, because
I'm pointing out contradictions.
No, dude, no, because I already said that morality is a social thing, not an individual thing. It's also a thing based on.
You rejected that as well, because didn't you concede that a person on a planet by himself can still do things that are wrong?
No, I don't think
there's no. Okay, if I'm on the moon by myself and I start blaspheming God, did I do anything wrong?
No, that's also social because God
is. It's not social. I'm by myself.
Yeah, God is a person though.
God is literally everywhere. So there's no society. There's no God.
No,
I cannot. I am in a position where
it's a personal interaction with God though, right?
There's not a personal interaction. I'm just sitting on a moon.
It is.
No. I am interacting with God in no way. Dude, just different the way that I'm interacting with him now.
Bro.
And I'm just on a moon.
Hold on a sec. When I say social, I mean you can't do something immoral without interacting with another person. And God is a person. Even if you're by yourself.
Okay, so if I do cocaine, it's not immoral if I do cocaine.
I didn't say that. It possibly is, but that would.
But I'm not interacting with another person.
You're interacting with God. You're interacting with God as a person.
How am I interacting with God by snorting cocaine?
Because you're sinning against Him. Any sin is against God.
God is off doing His own thing. I'm by myself.
No. You think you're by yourself. He's right there. He's watching you.
He don't have to look at me.
He does. He sees that. He sees.
Okay, so it's the morality coming from God then.
No, it doesn't come from Him. It's a look.
What is the moral?
Okay. You want to ask me about what's the origin of it? All right. So
the source.
God is the ground of all being, right? God is perfectly good. So the creation has this moral component to it.
Mm-hmm.
Moral obligations are part of the life of moral agents such as humans. That's the idea.
Okay, is God's nature the reason that is wrong?
God's nature, yeah. God's nature is grounded.
Is that the basis?
Yeah.
Okay.
Standard.
All right. Okay. So morality is not intrinsic to humans. It is intrinsic to God, and we can assess the morality of human activity by
that's not what I said.
comparing it.
That's not what I said.
I am trying. Your system has so many contradictions in it. I was trying to still man you.
You didn't even.
It
You didn't even
does.
want.
You said it was intrinsic, and then you described it as extrinsically.
What I just said. Look, dude. What I just said. I didn't say that because God is the ground of all morality that it's not therefore intrinsic to humans. I didn't say that. What I said is that
I didn't say you said that.
you did, or you
No,
said it's not. You said it's not intrinsic to humans because you just said it's not intrinsic to humans. You said that because
this is what I would. So I'm trying to give you this. Your system is wrought, at least the way you've explained it so far, is wrought with contradictions.
No, it isn't.
Right? Because I'm not even sure what you mean by intrinsic, because it's coming externally, right? But somehow extrinsic and intrinsic, I guess they're the same thing in your system. But what I was trying to say is, if God is the basis, okay, if there were no humans, would there still be morality? Would morality still exist if there were no humans?
Yeah, because God would exist. Yeah.
Okay, so then morality is intrinsic to God.
Sorry? No, yes, it's intrinsic to God for sure. That doesn't mean it's not intrinsic to humans.
But we already discussed how it's not intrinsic to humans, and I was giving counter examples, and you were acknowledging them.
No, dude, bro. You keep like, I accept some of your claims, and then I explain why I accept that I still think they're intrinsic to humans. Or if you want to say, okay, let's just say this. Let's say this. Humans are intrinsically moral agents. Okay. Now that doesn't prevent education. Wait, stop. Will you stop for 1 second, please?
I'm just asking a clarifying question.
I'm about to finish my statement. Okay, please.
It was a clarifying question.
I love you, man.
It's cool. I just want to know what is a moral. Okay.
A moral agent is a person who can make decisions that are either moral, that can assess whether they're moral or immoral. Okay, they're capable of doing that, and that doesn't prevent the idea of edge cases in humanity, where people are, for example, mentally unfit or raised by wolves, etc., and don't have the capacity to understand moral right and wrongs. That doesn't mean that we're not intrinsically moral agents. That doesn't mean that, because there's going to be edge cases like that.
So if there are exceptions, then it's not intrinsic. Is God making mistakes?
No, that's what I'm saying. There can
be. It's like, whoops, this person has no moral intuitions whatsoever, and God just made him that way.
For example, the psychopath. You brought up the psychopath, right? Mm-hmm. They don't have empathy. The psychopaths do understand moral obligations. Now you take another case like the wolf boy, right? The wolf boy has never been taught what is morally right or wrong. However, I would suggest to you that
he can empathize.
Wait.
Those are two ways.
That's what I was going to say.
This is what I was going to...
Let me just finish what I was saying.
I'll let you finish.
The wolf boy would likely be able to understand that, yes, if they hurt someone, that there's something wrong with that, or feel bad.
Because they know what it's like to be hurt. They can empathize. Right, exactly. Okay, so and this is what I was trying to tell you about 10 minutes ago, right? You have a person. You can either you can instruct them on how moral ontology works, or they can empathize. Those are two ways they could discover morality, and that's why I asked about a psychopath who's born in the woods. They would have no means of deriving any sort of moral system. Which means it's not intrinsic.
We don't know that. First of all.
What's another way? Okay.
Wait.
What is another way? It could be
there's so many assumptions. Anytime you do this, there's so many assumptions built into your thing. Like, you're trying to tell me that just because
what's the alternative?
Stop. Hold on a sec. The wolf boy in the woods, right? No empathy. He's a psychopath, right? Supposedly, right? So
no society to teach him.
How do we know? How do we know that just because they can't feel empathy, that means they don't understand that there's something morally wrong with what they're doing, or some kind of feeling?
Because that feeling, because of what we just said earlier, that he said they can't there's no empathy. That's how we know there's no feeling,
don't
because
know
that's what it
empathy is
means
the
to have
only-
no
we
empathy.
don't know the
It's like
empathy.
saying, how do you know a bachelor isn't
We
married?
don't know.
This
We
is what
don't
that
know
word
the
means.
empathy. We don't know that empathy is the only way a being could come to some kind of moral understanding. We don't know that.
Mike,
Anyway,
Mike,
I don't know.
hold
Like
on,
you're
Mike,
wasting
hold on.
time. You're wasting time.
It's not a waste of
addressing
time,
this
because here's the
thing.
problem,
It
Mike.
is.
Mike,
Yeah.
please let me explain. Okay, empathy is the way they would understand it internally.
Uh-huh.
Instruction is the way they will understand it externally. That's it. They can understand it internally or externally. I gave you a scenario where the person is prevented from both. Is there a third option? No, there's not. That means there's no way for them to understand it.
What I'm saying to you is your assumption is that if they don't have empathy, there's no possible way that they could.
No,
they could come up with
like I said, a person who don't have empathy, if they were in a society, they can go. They can be instructed. You could put a psychopath
that's what I'm
on this
saying.
show,
No,
and I can
dude, like, why
explain to
why
him how.
you see how you had to interrupt me? Like I was just about to say the wolf.
But you said
boy.
something wrong. You
The
said
wolf,
that I
the
said
wolf
the
boy. I'm
empathy,
talking about the wolf boy. I'm talking about the wolf boy. You're assuming that the wolf
not
boy
wolves,
without
no society.
yes, no society. The wolf boy has no society, right? So I'm
Mhm.
saying my point is that you're assuming that the wolf boy without empathy can have no way of developing a moral system. You're saying that, and I don't even know why that's even relevant, right? Why would
Because you
that be
said it
relevant?
was intrinsic, and I gave you a counterexample of it not being intrinsic, which means it's not
No,
intrinsic.
because it's
As a matter of fact, and you were at the beginning.
I explain
Before
why
we
though. I
even
explain
got to the
why though.
empathy thing, you were starting off saying that it was societal, which means that is not intrinsic.
No, it's
I
not. No,
even
it's not.
seek
That
clarification. I
doesn't,
was like,
dude. Wow,
could it be
dude.
intrinsic to society, but not intrinsic to an individual human?
No, because what I'm saying to you is that human nature is intrinsically familial or societal. There's no human like there's no human culture or human morality without a culture, without a kind of system of societal or social kind of grouping systems. So that's what I'm saying to you.
Can you
That's
tell
why I
me?
said that.
Could you
What?
tell me? Well, what somebody does an act? What is my measuring tool? How do I assess their act to determine whether it's wrong?
Somebody acts and then how do you decide?
Somebody does a thing,
Uh-huh.
and then I ask you, and I'm asking you, how do I determine whether that act was wrong?
Yeah, I know. You determine it. We determine it, right? Using logic, using reason. And based
No,
on
logic
philosophy.
doesn't tell you what's
Wait,
moral.
stop, dude, stop. You had to interrupt. I can't even finish my statement. My statement, bro. Like, if you want to ask a clarifying question, that's fair, but let me just finish one sentence at
Okay,
least, all
all
right?
right.
Okay. So, how do you determine if something's wrong? So, like, let's say somebody steals something from me. I determine that's wrong because I know these moral rules already, right? I've been taught them. I've been instructed in them, right? And you're suggesting that because of that, that's not intrinsic to humanity.
No, that's not what I'm at. I'm trying to move past that. I don't care about that anymore. Right? Okay. I just Google what the word intrinsic means, and you'll see that it's not what you described.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right.
So what I'm asking is, somebody does X, right? I don't care what it is. I didn't give anything specific intentionally. Somebody does a thing. How would I know whether or not it was moral?
Because we've been told by God.
Okay, so God
and before God taught us that, people had this kind of sense.
All right.
Like
So if God tells me to go slaughter a bunch of children, it is now moral to slaughter children.
Well, when he did do that, that was okay, yeah, but normally it
wouldn't. So slaughtering children is moral.
If God tells you to do it, yeah.
But no, nothing's moral. So the morality of any act is determined by whether God says so.
No.
But you're saying God is a standard.
God's a standard. Yes, God's a
but
standard.
You said, how do you know something's wrong? And you said, well, God tells you. So I asked you, what if God tells you to kill a bunch of children? Okay. You said only if God tells you. Yeah, well, of course. That's why anything is wrong, according to you.
God tells you to do it. It's not because of like God giving you the moral commandment, therefore it's wrong. It's like because whatever God says is going to be morally good. Whatever commandment He gives you, not because of the fact that
So when
He
God,
gave it.
so God tells me to kill children, then it is moral to kill children.
Yeah, in those cases, yes, it would be, yes. But under most cases, it would not be, right? That's the situation.
And 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 there are cases when God tells me to kill children and it's immoral.
If God tells you to kill children, it's morally correct. Because God will only tell you to
Okay.
kill
All
children
right.
if the
So
word
okay,
morally correct.
if I feed a hungry child, is it moral?
Sorry?
If I
If you
feed a
feed
hungry child, is it
yeah,
moral?
sure.
Okay. Okay. Even if God doesn't tell me to do it.
Even if God doesn't tell you to do it, well,
Yes.
yes. But the
Okay.
thing is,
Okay. No.
so
No. And I have a follow-up question. Okay. Why is feeding a child moral, regardless of whether God tells me to do it, and killing a child only moral when God tells me to do it? What is
oh,
the difference between the acts?
because killing a child would normally be morally wrong. It
Why?
would normally be morally wrong.
Why?
Because it's just morally wrong to inflict pain and suffering on other people. It's like it's not loving. It's not loving, as we
Except when,
discussed.
right? But it's not loving when God does it.
No, it is loving when God
No,
does
it's
it.
not. Kill.
Mhm.
Why would killing a kid be loving? What sense does that make?
Because it's different. Like for humans, with humans occupy a different moral.
Explain how would it know? Explain how it would be loving.
I'm explaining it. Humans occupy a different moral kind of I don't know, role, shall we say, in the moral scheme. So
Okay,
humans,
I don't care about the
hold
role.
on, let me
I want to
explain.
know why it's loving.
No, let me explain. Humans don't know, right? They're not able to decide. They're not able to decide the life and death of other humans. They're not able to decide whether humans go to heaven and hell or hell.
Okay.
What is other humans, right? God is able to do that. So when God decides that it's time for someone to die, He decides everyone's life and death.
So you're
So
just telling me why God has the right to do it. I want to know why killing a
no,
child would be loving.
no, but I'm telling you that if God tells you to do something, it's loving because everything He does is loving.
Killing a child would be
Yeah.
loving.
Because look, in our world, right, in our worldview, right,
Mm-hmm.
life and death in this world is not some kind of end all, like ultimate good, so life certainly isn't, right. Life in this world is not the ultimate
Where
good.
do we learn love from?
From God. I told you.
Okay, but if I learn love from God, God tells me to kill a child is loving.
Mhm.
Then when I kill a child, it should also be loving, even if God tells
No,
me
because
doesn't
God
tell
never
me.
told you that. God never
But
told you
what?
that.
But I'm
Bro,
learning
do you
God.
not see the difference? You don't see the difference, the obvious difference there. It's the difference between. I'm not saying. I'm not saying God
Is
killing children is.
killing
Bro,
loving or is it not loving?
listen. Killing children is not loving in general. In general, it is not loving. It is bad, right? It is sinful,
Can you
right?
explain
However,
why when God killing children is loving?
because, as I was just saying to you, God has a different perspective. He's able to know whether the life and death of individuals, everyone, he's able to also decide whether they go to heaven and hell, what their eternal destiny will be. He's able to decide, like, he's able
Why
to
would
see,
deciding those things make it loving? Like
because,
if I could when I kill someone, if I could also decide whether they go to heaven or hell, would it
uh,
then make it loving?
no. I said, that wasn't just that wasn't the only reason I set God apart morally from us. That
But
was the
yeah,
only,
because you said like God knows a bunch of other stuff too. If I
he
was
knows,
omniscient and then
yeah.
could determine whether or not the child goes to hell, would killing him then be loving?
No, it wasn't just that. It wasn't just those things either. I was gonna name a bunch of things, but there's so many things that separate God from us in this case, right? He's the creator of all life, the creator of everything. He's also the decider of everyone's eternal destiny.
I want you to don't let me list a bunch of them, right? Because like this, I'm gonna pick one. Give me one criteria,
Uh,
and then explain why that makes killing a kid loving.
No, because that's
So
the
God created everything, therefore killing is loving.
dude.
Can you
No, see what you're doing.
connect
See what
those
you're
dots?
doing. See what you're doing. No, I'm not
I
trying to
want you
set
to
it on one
connect these
thing.
dots.
I'm not trying to set it on one thing. What I'm trying to say is God. Like, look. Let me explain. this. Give me a second here. All right.
Okay.
In the same way that when you're in a classroom, a teacher has the moral justification or obligation to stop students from disturbing other students and maybe give a student detention, etc. Students do not have that role. They don't have the ability to give other students detention, to tell other students to shut up, right? The teacher has that, the student doesn't. So people have different moral roles. Even though morality is objective,
The teacher has more authority.
more authority. Okay, we can
Right.
call it
Okay.
that. Yeah.
No,
So hold on.
so what I'm asking.
Not that. So now God's authority is over things like that and much greater than that.
Mhm.
That's why he can decide those questions, whether it's okay to kill someone or not. Okay. Well,
Mark,
go
you're not
on.
answering my question though. Because I don't care whether God has the authority to kill a kid. I'm asking, why is killing
Why
the
is
kid
loving?
loving?
Yeah, because
You said it was
everything.
loving. That's what I'm trying to
Yes,
figure out.
because everything God does is loving, and if God told you to kill a kid, for whatever reason, you might not understand why, but for that reason, it was loving. For example, when God decided to
How did you
execute,
determine that? How did you
we
determine
know
that? That even if I don't understand it, because I guess if nobody understands, it's still loving. How did you determine that?
because God is love. I mean, look.
So
First of all,
okay, if
let
God
me talk
started
to you.
sexually abusing
Look,
kids, it would be
bro.
loving.
See, that's just like low tier like stuff.
It's
Like
not
way too
low
much shit.
tier because
It is.
so
Dude,
because
what,
what's low
hold
tier is
on.
your moral
Let me stop.
system.
Let me
This
explain.
divine command theory moral system
No,
is
it's
low
not divine
tier.
command theory. It's not divine command theory.
That's
First of
exactly
all,
what it is.
it's not divine command
You
theory.
just
First
said
of all,
it's okay to kill kids if God tells you to.
yeah, that doesn't mean it's
That
divine command
that is
theory.
divine. That's a
That's not.
divine command.
That doesn't mean divine command
That's
theory. Hold on,
literally what it means.
dude. If you don't understand what divine command theory is versus
I
what I'm
do know.
talking to you about, so that's not what I'm talking to you about. You don't understand it at a very deep level if you're saying this to me.
Okay,
What
explain to
let me
me at
explain.
a deep
Let me
level
explain. Let me
while
explain.
killing
Let
kids
me explain. Let me explain.
is loving.
Let me explain. And why your example of God telling you to sexually abuse kids is off out of pocket and not fair. Because we already know that God would not allow anyone to sexually abuse someone else. We already know that. That's the part.
Well, what do you mean
Already
God
part of
wouldn't
His
allow
word.
it? Like, are there things that happen that God has no control over? What do you mean? Like
What?
sexual abuse? You said God would not allow it. What do you mean by that?
No, God would not. God would not. Sorry, God would not order that or
How do you know?
because that again, dude. We're talking. Are you asking about Christian theology and Christian
No, I'm
morality?
asking you. How do you know God wouldn't
Because
God wouldn't allow sexual abuse with
because
children?
that's the morality. No, not allow, but He allows sin. He allows sin to go on, right? But he because He'll judge
How do
that,
you
right?
know God wouldn't command the sexual
Dude,
abuse of children?
wow. How do I know God wouldn't command that? Because it's not
Yes.
permitted. It's not permitted. He's literally told us. So it's not permitted,
Where?
right?
Where did He
The
say you
Bible. In
can't
the Bible.
sexually abuse children?
In the
Where?
Bible. It's just
Where? Give me
understood.
the verse.
No, well, there's the whole chapter Leviticus 18 about
Get quoted.
sexual
Let's look this
immorality.
up. What? What's
All
the
those things
passage?
about sexual. But no. Wait. Hold on a sec. Hold on a sec. The exact thing of why you shouldn't sexually abuse children is not in the law. Okay, it's
Yeah, I
not
know.
literally in there.
I know that. That's the point.
I know. But that's not the
Therefore,
point.
how
That's
do
not the
you know
point.
God wouldn't command it?
That's not the point. Like, dude, which Christian do you know that thinks that? Which Christian do you know that thinks that?
I don't care
Like
what Christian
every
thinks that.
because every Christian
Because
no. Are you talking to me about Christian morality or not? Are you trying to critique Christian morality or not?
yeah,
Like
so
this is so every Christian's understanding of the Bible
it doesn't
throughout human
Mike,
history
it doesn't
has
matter
been
what
this.
you think. That there are logical deductions that follow from what you're saying.
No, there
There are
isn't.
conclusions that just logically follow.
It's not. No.
So
It's
if
not.
you
No,
say that
dude.
anything that God tells me to do is going to be loving
I
and
didn't say
good,
that. I didn't say that. I didn't
you
say that. I
literally
said
said
no.
that. You just
What
said
I
if God
said.
tells me to do
What I
something, then
said. Look, dude, what I said is that what anything God says to do is loving. That's one thing. That doesn't mean that whatever
that
he says, no, dude, that's different than whatever he says whatever he chooses to say would be loving. That's a different thing. What I'm saying is, if he says something, it is loving because he is love.
Mike, you literally just said the exact thing
Bro,
that you
dude,
said
it's
you weren't
not the
saying.
same thing. It's not the same thing, dude. So listen to what I'm trying to say, bro. This is ridiculous. I can't believe you don't understand this. Like, look,
I'm not the one confused here.
No, you are. You
your
absolutely are. But
system makes no sense.
What's funny is that because you won't let me finish the sentence. You keep coming up with these weird remarks in the middle of what I'm saying. It's because you're not trying to listen. You're trying to poke holes or something that
No, I'm trying. So
explain.
I'm trying to understand, get a coherent position from you. That's what I've been trying to do the entire time.
No, you're not.
No,
you
said
to interrupt me before I can explain my coherent position. You're not trying to listen.
Okay, Mike.
Look,
if you go off on a tangent, but can I give you an example?
What do you go off on tangent?
Okay,
every time I try to say something, you interrupt me.
Mike,
ask a dumb question.
I'm trying to give you an example.
Tell me,
Mike, listen. So earlier you had said that if God tells you to kill a kid, it is loving, and I asked you why it's loving, and you went off this tangent about why God has the authority to do it, which wasn't my question.
No.
I don't care about the authority. I care about what makes it loving. That's why I was interrupting you, because you weren't answering my question.
What makes it loving?
This is what we've been doing the entire time. So, okay.
What makes it loving? So what I was trying to explain to you is what makes it loving is that God is love. So when he does things, it's loving. All right. And we can say that a loving God doesn't tell people to sexually abuse people, dude.
So whatever God does is loving.
Whatever God does is loving. That doesn't mean. Hold on, stop.
It would mean that.
So don't say one word. Don't say one other word. Before that doesn't mean that whatever God does is loving. That doesn't mean that anything that you can think of that God might do is also therefore loving. That's not what I'm trying to say.
So Mike, if I say Mike, hold on, Mike. If I say Mike, listen. If I say everything I touch is blue.
No, that's not.
And then I touch a ball.
The same thing, dude.
What does it mean?
No, it's not the same thing.
It's literally the same thing. That is how logic works, Mike.
No, dude. No, because look, dude, it's different. If I say, look, a person they're incapable of doing something that's unloving. They're incapable of it, right? They're incapable of doing something that's. Wait, stop. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. I'm gonna finish my sentence, all right? God is incapable of doing things that are unloving. He's incapable of it. He's incapable of doing it, right? That doesn't mean that if you think of something that he might do, that therefore that's loving. That's different. That's different because he won't do something that you can think of that's not loving. He won't do it because he's incapable of doing things that are unloving. You understand?
Okay,
wow.
Okay, Mike. So are you saying there are certain things that would not be loving even if God did them?
No, I'm saying
yes.
Things...
So,
bro, dude,
is it true or not?
No,
he
couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. He's incapable.
I just want to. Mike. I'm not asking that. You're not answering my question.
He's incapable of doing it. He's incapable.
I don't care what he's capable of doing.
So whatever you're saying is unloving.
Mike, can you listen to my question? You're not listening to my question.
Okay, the question was: are there things that God could do that are are there things that are unloving even if God did them? Right?
Yes.
That's what you're saying? All right. So if we imagine a universe in which God could do things that are unloving,
can you just preface your answer with a yes or no?
Hold on. No, yes. Well, yes. Okay, yes, but that's dumb because it's
okay. So no. Here's we have the problem. No, you don't have to go any further. Now we have a problem because love isn't grounded in God. Because there are some things that would be loving and unloving, regardless of whether God did them.
No,
so God is not the basis of love.
That's not even what you asked me about. First of all,
it's not. No. But it follows. Mike.
It doesn't follow. It doesn't follow.
It does
from
Mike.
It doesn't follow from that.
Mike.
And by the way, this is why
this is my time. I get to try to poke holes in your moral system.
This is why I was trying to say that your question is unfair because you're asking me whether God is things that God could do that are unloving, and I'm just trying to say to you, He's incapable of doing things that are unloving. Therefore, there is not.
That's not what I asked. That's not what I asked.
Yeah, you did. What you asked me is there things that are unloving, even if God did them. Mm-hmm. And I was saying to you that no, God is incapable of doing things that are unloving. Therefore, there is not anything like that. There's no thing like that. There's no thing like that because he can't do things that are unloving. You understand?
Mike, sure. Look, here you have a problem. Okay. So when I asked is there any act that would be unloving even if God did it? Okay. If the answer is no, then that means God can command or do any act and it is always loving, and that would include the sexual abuse of children. Now, hold on, no. If the answer is yes, there are certain things, such as child molestation, would be unloving, even if God did it, that would mean that God is not the basis of love.
No,
You're
that's the
pulling
thing.
love from
Why does
somewhere
that? Why
else.
does that?
No, Mike, let me
Why does
finish.
that prove that? Why
Mike,
does
let
that
me
prove that?
finish. Stop. Let me finish. This will also mean that God is not required for my moral system because I can just do loving things regardless of what God does.
No, wait.
That's
Again, hold on a
exactly what
second.
it means.
Wait. No, you just mixed up so many things that don't follow.
I didn't mix up
They don't follow.
anything.
They don't follow.
What didn't
Let's write
follow?
this down.
Be
Wait, let's write this
specific.
down. Let's write this down, bro. Let me put up my my paper. Because you just said all these things that don't follow right there, and it's just crazy. Hang on. Is this the one?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see that? Okay. 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 So you said, what were you saying? Are there things that God
Yeah, I don't know what
could
it's like. You're
do?
trying to write this out in some sort of like syllogism. It was a question.
No, we don't have to. We don't have to do. We don't have to do a syllogism. But I'm just saying why it doesn't follow what you're saying. Are there things that God could do
Tell me what doesn't
that
follow.
are unloving? Right. My answer is no. Right. Now you're saying that based on this, that therefore, what are you saying? My answer is no. Right. What do you think? What do you think follows from this? What
Are
do you
there
think follows
things
from
that
this?
God could do? That's not what I asked you.
Are there things
So I
that
guess
God
if
could
we
do
get
that
the
are
question
unloving?
right, are there things that are unloving even if God does them?
Are there things that are unloving even if God does that?
Mm-hmm.
My answer was no, right?
Yes, you said no. Well,
Even
you
if
said
God
yes
does
first. You
that.
said yes, and then you said now you're saying no.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. No, my
So
answer was yes.
I
My
don't.
answer
So
was yes. My
let's
answer was
figure out
yes.
what you believe
My answer was
first.
yes. My answer
So
was
now
yes.
it's yes. Okay.
Well, like I said, my first of
Wait.
all, I want to say that.
All right.
Wait. First of all, I want to say I don't think
You're
this question
you're
is fair.
you're freestyling.
No, wait. No, I forgot. I didn't understand. Anyway, but I also don't think this question is fair, as I was explaining before. But let's just continue. What do you think falls from this?
If, so if there things that are unloving even if God does them, yes. Then that means that loving is not. That means God. There are things that are unloving regardless of God.
Why
Which
does
now
this
you have a
follow?
well now you have a moral system
Why
because
does this follow? Why does
because
this
I
follow?
could point out
Why does
something
this
that's
follow? Hold on. Why does this follow from this? Why does it follow from this?
is literally the answer to the question.
Oh, because you see, this is
You
why
said
we're
I
saying.
asked
All
Mike. The
right. This is
question
why we're
is,
saying.
are there Mike? The question is, are there things that are unloving even if God does them? You said yes.
Mhm.
Then there means there are things that are unloving even if
No,
God does them.
yeah,
Okay.
because no. Let me explain. Let me explain why this is this is why I was saying this question is unfair from the beginning when you first asked me. Because God is incapable of doing unloving things. There are no things that are unloving even if God does them. There are no such things such as that. So, but the real answer is
So
no. But
now
even
the
hold
answer
on,
is no. Now
stop,
you
stop,
had
stop, stop,
yes. Now
stop,
it's no
stop.
again.
Don't stop. Hold on a sec, because the answer no in your world doesn't work either. But anyway, so that's why this thing doesn't really work because The reason
What
why
do you
things
mean?
are
What do you mean it doesn't
unloving.
work? It's a
The
question.
reason,
It's a
the
perfectly
reason why,
coherent question.
the reason why things are unloving is because God has set that standard of what loving is.
Okay, I'm sorry. So hold on. So the answer to my question is a yes or no. Oh, what are we going with now?
Are there things that are unloving even if God does them? I think this question is kind of missing the point.
Is it yes? Is it a yes or no?
No. Listen, it's not just a simple yes or no. Like it's
It
simplistic to even
is.
say that. It's simplistic to suggest this. But like I say to you, there are things that
Mike,
God cannot do.
could you use this question on me for a split second, just for like a minute? You're gonna attack my moral system, okay? Ask, are there things that are immoral, even if it doesn't violate well-being?
Okay. What do you
The
mean?
answer is no. That's it.
Okay.
We're done.
That's different.
Right?
That's different.
No, it's not. So
That's
what's
different than
different?
this.
The
Totally
difference
different.
is
No,
your moral
the
system
equivalent.
sucks.
Wait,
You can't account for questions
hold
like
on.
this.
No, hold on. Because the equivalent thing, the equivalent question would be: are there things that can be moral even if they're unloving? That would be the equivalent.
No.
Yes, it would.
No, it's
Your
not.
question was
That's not my question.
No. Your question to me was: are there things that can be moral even if they don't harm well-being? Right? Are there? And you said no. The equivalent question in my system would be: are there things that are moral even if they're unloving? And then my answer would be no. That
No.
would be the equivalent. That
No.
would be
So do this then. Are there things that are unloving even if it didn't violate well-being? And then my answer would then be yes.
That's mixing your thing.
It's
with
not.
my
It makes
thing.
all I'm trying to do is put my system in the same shoe that yours is, and show you that there's nothing wrong with my question, because my
No. Look,
system can absolutely answer this question. It is not. It is not a problem. It's not difficult the slightest for a secular humanist. This is
No,
so easy.
bro. Look. The question you asked me was: are there things in your system? Are there things?
The question, you don't have to rewrite it. It's already up there. Are there things that why'd you scroll down?
No, because I want to know: are there things in your system? Are there things that are moral, even if they cause a lower well-being, right? And you said no.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, what was your question?
No, because that question wouldn't even make any sense, because well-being is a standard.
Okay, so what was your question?
My question for you was
is
there something that is unloving?
No,
even if God does
what did
it.
you ask me before? What did you ask me before? You asked me before a system.
For my system, is there an act that is unloving, even if it contributes to well-being?
That's not what you first asked me. The first thing you asked me. The first question you asked me.
I don't know what you, Mike. I don't know. I asked a bunch of questions, but the question that I want you to answer now.
Dude, see, now you're just
Mike, I don't remember what, Mike. I don't remember what question you're talking about.
Because the first thing you asked me, you were saying in your system, if you were to put the shoe in your foot, system.
So Mike, can you scroll back up? All right. So are there things that are unloving even if God does them? So the equivalent question for me would be: are there things that are unloving even if they contribute to well-being?
No, that's not equivalent.
That would be the equivalent.
No, it isn't. Because
Mike, all I did was replace God with well-being. That's all I did.
First of all,
you're using God and I'm using well-being. So all I did was replace your thing with my thing.
No, because
that is the equivalent.
No, it's not the same thing. Because
okay,
first of all,
Mike, can you just answer this question?
You see,
we did my system 2 weeks ago.
Just stop. Hold on a sec. Let me explain why it's not the same. Because when you say that, you're not talking. God is a person, an agent with the ability to decide what he's going to do and what he isn't going to do. Well-being is your standard that you just created. So it's totally different. It's
not a standard that I created.
It's not. Whatever.
It's experience that you exist.
Dude, it's not analogous when you say that. When you just ask me, are there things that are unloving, even if
Okay,
they're
it's not
religious well-being?
Mike. Can you answer this question with a yes or no? Because you kept flipping. You said no at first, then yes, and then no, and yes, and
Because I'm
now
saying this
it's
question
no, and
isn't
then
fair.
now I
This
guess it's yes
question
this time. Can you just
because
tell me whether so we can proceed? Okay, are there things that are unloving even if God does them? Yes or no?
no, this is what I'm saying to you. I don't even want to answer this question. As I was saying originally, it's not fair because God is the standard of lovingness. Therefore, he cannot do things that are unloving. He cannot. He's incapable
So
of it.
yeah,
Which is
okay,
different. Which is
guys. I
different
just want
than
everybody to
hold
see
on, hold
here.
on.
Mike's just
No,
refusing to answer the question.
no, because the question isn't fair. I'm trying to explain to you why this question
I guess
isn't
there are
fair.
unfair questions. So you can go
Yeah,
back
there
and
are.
listen to the episode that we did where you questioned mine. There was no unfair question. You could have asked
Yeah, because
anything. I would have.
I didn't ask unfair questions. I didn't do that.
There, what would have been an unfair question?
I don't know, but this is different.
So if you
I
have
don't
a
know. I don't know. I
robust
look,
and
bro.
thorough moral system like such as I, there will be no unfair questions. You'll be able to answer them all.
No, it's not
You
true. It's
okay?
not true.
So Mike,
I
Mike, a
answer.
moral
You don't
system.
like the question. You
Mike,
don't like the
I,
answer. You don't like
here's
the
the thing:
answer.
a good moral system should be able to look at any act and determine whether or not it's moral or not. That is how
No,
that's what a
because
good moral system does.
no,
Mine
we don't.
absolutely does that.
Yeah, mine
Here,
does that.
I don't know.
No, mine does that. Mine does that.
No,
But
you
what
know
I'm
yours
saying is,
doesn't because I'm asking you a question. You
because
kept going yes,
you won't
no
even let me
on
talk, dude. You won't even let me talk.
Mike.
You're interrupting me every 5 minutes. You won't
Mike,
let me get a word out.
we
You won't let
interrupting
me get a word
both.
out.
We're
Listen, bro.
interrupting each other.
Are you going to no, dude? You just said something. You said something. I was about to start talking. You just immediately interrupted me.
You were saying
Immediately.
something, and you were about to start saying something while I was talking, as in you were going
No,
to
you were
interrupt. You were
saying
going
no.
to
You just said
interrupt me.
you literally said anyway. Whatever. Okay, so are you saying something now? Are you trying to say something? Go ahead.
Okay, the point that I was trying to make is that any good moral system, if it's a robust moral system, you should be able to look at any act and I should be able to look at your moral system and determine whether or not it's moral.
Okay,
Now,
okay. You
I'm
already
giving you,
said that.
but hang on, okay. Now I'm giving you a scenario, and you went from yes to no like a
No,
half
dude, I
dozen
didn't say. I didn't
times.
go for yes to no. I didn't go for yes to no. First of all, hold on. Look, hold on a sec.
You were,
Look, dude. Don't look. Don't play this game with me. Don't play this game with me.
is it?
I didn't go from yes to no. Look, don't, dude. I did
I
not go
have
from
to.
yes to no.
You
I
can
did
just
not go from yes.
rewind it. We can go back after the show.
Wow.
You can
This
rewind it.
this guy. I did not go for this. The first thing I said is this question is unfair. You kept
That's not the first thing you said.
hounding me, and then finally I said, okay, let's entertain this ridiculous thought
That's not the
experiment.
first. That's
But
not
this is
what you
not.
said at first. But we can
It
just
is.
rewind it. Okay, sure.
Yeah, we can. You want to rewind it? Listen, look. I don't like this, man.
Sure.
I don't like this. I don't like your attitude, dude. This is like disrespectful.
I'm not
Like,
being disrespectful.
you are.
All I want is
Look,
an answer to my question,
dude.
and you're refusing to
I
answer.
answered your question. Yeah, because your question's stupid. Look, I will just end the show right now. I don't care, dude. This is ridiculous.
If that's what you want to do, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm just asking a question.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever, man. Look, let's talk about what just happened here. Let's actually go over this video. Yeah, I don't care. You can keep me on. You can keep me on or whatever. I'm going to talk about what you just did here. You can leave, or you can live stream me or whatever you want to do. Okay. Well, I'm ignoring you, so um, what am I gonna do here? What can I do? Okay, let's take a look at what he was just saying. This is ridiculous. It's not a simple question. What did I say was gonna happen? Yo, listen, dude. You don't give me 5 minutes to talk. You want to say you're evaluating my moral system? What a joke. Listen, anyway, look, the fact that you're trying to tell me you're evaluating my moral system and then you don't even let me talk for 5 minutes. The joke is that you're trying to say you're evaluating my moral system. You don't even let me talk for 5 minutes. That's the joke. You know what? I should go to my thing. Okay.
It took
I was gonna name a bunch of things, but there's so many things that separate God from us in this.
had said that if God tells you to kill a kid, it is loving. And I ask you why it's loving, and you went on position.
What? I'm looking
Don't
up this thing.
know.
Hold on.
Like they don't. They're not able to decide. They're not able to decide the life and death of other humans.
What? Yeah. Okay. So I don't care. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care. I really don't care. Yeah. I don't care. I don't care. So let's shut off your stream then. I don't care. I don't care what you stream. I'm doing my thing. I'm sorry. Later. Okay. Okay. Bye.
They're not able to decide whether humans go to heaven and hell or hell.
Okay.
What is other humans, right? God is able to do that. So
Uh,
when God decides that it's time for someone to die, He decides everyone's life and death.
Loving.
Some kind of end all, like ultimate good, you know. So
okay.
life certainly isn't right. Life in this world is not the ultimate.
Where do we
Life
learn
is
love from?
from God.
Tell
Bro,
someone.
I'm not saying God is not loving. It is bad, right? It is sinful,
Can
right?
you
However,
explain
listen,
God when God killing children is loving?
he's
Why
able to
would
see
it then make it loving?
out of part.
Killing. Listen, don't let me one
See what you're doing.
connect
See what
with
you're
God.
doing. See what you're doing. No, I'm not. I'm
I,
not
I
trying to
want you
sit
to
it on one
connect with
thing.
God.
To stop students from disturbing other students, and maybe go reject
Okay,
the fact
you,
love.
how did you determine that? How did you
You
determine
know,
that? That even if I don't understand it, 'cause I guess if nobody understands, it's still loving. How did you determine that?
that's
So,
what, bro. That's explain and why your example of God telling you to sexually abuse kids is
well,
order that or
how do you know?
how do I know God wouldn't command that? Because
Yes.
it's not permitted. It's not permitted.
Where?
At the point, like, dude, which Christian do you know that Christian?
Who God tells me to do is going to be loving
I
and
didn't say
good.
that. I didn't say that. I didn't
You
say that. I
literally
said
said that.
no. What
You
I
just
said. What
said
I
if God.
said. Whatever. If you whatever he chooses to say would be loving. That's not. That's a different thing. What anything God said. Oh,
That you
dude,
said
it's
you weren't
not the
saying.
same thing. It's not the same thing, dude. So listen to what I'm trying to say, bro. This is ridiculous. I can't believe you don't understand. All right, you won't let me finish the sentence. You keep because you're trying to poke holes in
Position from you.
before I can explain my coherent position. You're not trying to.
Okay, can I give you an
What
example?
do you go off on tangent?
Okay,
Every time
Mike, let's
sexual
Mike,
abuse.
Mike. It is loving. And I ask you, so earlier you had said that if God tells you to kill a kid, it is love. This is
Loving
what we've been doing the entire.
is that God is love. So when a loving
What
God doesn't tell people to whatever God does is loving. That doesn't mean. Hold on, stop.
it
Before you
would
say
mean
one,
that.
don't say one word. Don't say one other word. Before that doesn't mean that whatever God does is loving. That doesn't mean that anything that you can think of that God might do is also therefore loving.
That is
That's
what it
not what I'm
means.
trying to say.
So Mike,
See, oh, see right there. See right there. So I'm trying to distinguish. There's the difference between saying whatever God does is loving and saying anything you can think of that God can do would therefore be loving because he did it. That's a different thing. I'm not saying that whatever God might possibly do is loving. I'm saying whatever God does is loving because he's incapable of doing things that are not loving. And I try to make that clear. I really do think I did make that clear, but it's ridiculous that he wouldn't get it.
Mike,
Not what
if
it
I
means.
say
Not what
Mike,
it
Mike,
means.
Mike, hold on, Mike.
Not what
If
it
I
means,
say
bro.
Mike, listen. If I
Dude, this
say
guy.
everything I touch is blue,
No, that's not
and
the
then
same
I
thing.
touch
It's
a
not the
ball,
same thing, dude.
what does it
It's not the same
mean?
thing. No, it's not the same thing.
It's
It's not
literally
the
the
same thing.
same
It's
thing.
not
That is
the
that is how logic works, Mike.
No, dude. No, because look, dude, it's different. If I say, look, a person cannot. They're incapable of doing something that's unloving. They're incapable of it, right? They're incapable of doing something. That's, wait, stop. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. I'm gonna finish my sentence. All right. God is incapable of doing things that are unloving. He's incapable of it. He's incapable of doing it, right? That doesn't mean that if you think of something that he might do, that therefore that's loving. That's different. That's different because he won't do something that you can think of that's not loving. He won't do it because he's capable of doing things that are unloving. You understand?
Okay,
Wow, dude.
okay, Mike. So, are you saying there are certain things that would not be loving even if God did them?
No, I'm saying that. I'm saying
Yes,
that
yes.
certain things,
So,
bro, dude,
is
bro,
it
dude.
true or
Wow.
not?
No, because he
Is it
couldn't. He
true or
couldn't. He
not?
couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. He's incapable
I
of
just
doing
want to.
it.
Mike. I'm not
No,
asking that. You're not answering my question.
he's incapable of doing it. He's incapable
I
of
don't
doing it.
care
That's
what
what
he's
I'm saying.
capable of
So
doing.
whatever you're saying that's unloving,
Mike,
the thing
Mike,
that's unloving.
can you
if
listen to my question? You're not.
yes,
You're not.
yes, yes,
You're not
yes.
listening to my
There's
question.
things. Okay, the question was: are there things that God could do that are there? Are there things? Are there things that are unloving, even if God did them? Right?
Yes.
That's what you're saying. All right.
So,
So if we imagine a universe in which God could do things that are unloving,
can you just preface
then
your
yes.
answer with a yes or no?
Hold on. No, yes. Well, yes. Okay, yes. But that's dumb because it's
Okay.
subjective.
Okay. So no.
He's capable of
Here's
doing
no.
it.
We have the problem. No, you don't have to go any further. Now we have a problem because love isn't grounded in God. Because there are some things that would be loving and unloving, regardless of whether God did them.
No, you
So
see,
God is not the
see, now,
basis of love.
that's not even what you asked me about. First of all,
It's not. It's no. But it follows. Mike.
It doesn't follow. It doesn't follow.
It does for
from
Mike.
that.
Mike.
It doesn't
Hold on.
follow
Anyway,
from
sorry
that.
guys.
Mike,
Let's
By the way,
remember,
this is why I was.
this is
This is what I
my
was trying to
time.
say.
I get to try to poke holes in your moral system.
This is why I was trying to say that your question is unfair because you're asking me whether God is things that God could do that are unloving, and I'm just trying to say to you, He's incapable of doing things that are unloving. Therefore, there is not.
That's not what I asked. That's not what I asked.
Yeah, you did. What you asked me is there things
What are you
that
guys talking
that are
about? Oh,
unloving,
hey, typical.
even
How
if
are you,
God
brother?
did that.
God bless.
And I was saying to you that no, God is incapable of doing things that are unloving. Therefore, there's not anything like that. There's no thing like that. There's no thing like that because He can't do things that are unloving. You understand?
Mike, sir, look, here you have a problem. Okay. So when I asked if there are is there any act that would be unloving even if God did it? Okay.
No, these people in the
If
chat
the
are just
answer
like
is
ignorant.
no, then that means God can command or do any act, and it is always loving, and that would include the sexual abuse of children. Now, hold on, no. If the answer is yes, there are certain things, such as child molestation, would be unloving, even if God did it, that would mean that God is not the basis of love.
No,
You're
that's
pulling
me.
love from somewhere else.
Why does that?
No, Mike, let me
Why does
finish.
that prove that? Why
Mike,
does
let
that
me
prove
finish.
that?
Stop. Let me finish. This would also mean that God is not required for my moral system because I can just do loving things
Anyway,
regardless of what God does.
what do you guys think of that? Was a disaster,
No,
man.
no, wait. Again,
That's
hold on.
exactly what it means.
Wait. No, you just mix up so many things that it don't follow.
I didn't mix up
They don't follow.
anything.
They don't follow.
What do you guys think of that? That was a complete disaster. Let's see what else we could do. It's Monday nights. Supposed to go on. I'm supposed to have the thing tonight. The hangouts. Let's see what Table's saying.
Feels like that. But yeah, thank you.
And you've done some debates with on day 3, and I'd love to I don't really get into Trinity debates on this channel, but if you wanted to, I'd be happy to maybe moderate a debate if you ever wanted to do that.
Like sorry, we're eating dinner. My daughter's talking. Hold on, sweetheart. Like a formal debate. I don't even know the guy, to be honest. He came on my channel one time, but I don't know who he is.
Oh, well, I'd be interested in hosting a Trinity debate. I don't know if that's something you'd be interested in.
Actually, I'm taking a turn on my channel. I was literally just talking to a friend this morning, on his channel about that. It's tiring having the same conversations literally day in and day out. And my vision and where I'm trying to take my channel is more focusing on the kingdom and really going through each text and just learning, just being a student and literally just learning as much as I possibly can over and over. And because I just don't like the circular arguments that just continuously run out of the same words. You know, the God's word has so much more than arguing about it all day. And since it has turned into, unfortunately, a lot of arguments, it's just not worth it. That means it's time for me to move on because God's
God bless,
not
brother.
commanding us to argue with believers over things. We're supposed to come together and reason, and which is what I always try to aim to do.
Well said. I really love that perspective. I think that's really important and really wonderful. And that's one of the reasons I don't get too into like Trinity stuff on this channel specifically.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, it's just I have literally thousands of people that I talk to on a regular basis. And I feel if I continue to do this, not saying I will never talk about it again. I love talking about it. I really do. But it's not being fruitful the way that God has for my life. And I can feel the tug on, okay, it's time to set that aside. We got other things we need to get done. You know what I'm saying? Just like if you were in your house and you wanted to paint all day, well, you still got to cook and you still got to clean. There's other things that need to be done, and you can't neglect that just because you're passionate about the painting.
Yeah. Well said. I mean, I dig that. Just to quickly answer this question from WTY615. Yeah, I'm trying to sort of answer chat questions too. So if you have a question for me, just put it in the chat, and sometimes I open it up pretty soon. I think what I'll do is after Kanisha comes on, I'll probably just let everybody else on, and then so anyone who wants to join now, I'll probably open up the chat. We've been doing like one-on-one conversations, but it's kind of like a hybrid where we do like a few one-on-one conversations, and then we kind of open it up to the whole panel. But yeah, Kanisha, I agree with you. I think that's really good. Like I did that 5-hour stream with LDS, and that to me was very argumentative. And if I if I had to do that every week, I think I'd be really down on doing the channel. I'm not an arguer. I'd rather discuss. I'd rather at least leave there some room for common ground.
Same.
Macintosh Pro is saying something really good. If you type Q for question and you then make your questions, this is helpful. I like this Macintosh Pro. So, but if somebody does want to ask me a question, I will happily answer it. Maybe tag it as question for Tavo, or just tag my name or something, and then I'll try and answer your question. But you've got a great channel, Kanisha. There's a lot of things that I've learned a lot from like being a fly on the wall in a lot of your chats as well.
Thank you, brother. Yeah. So what are your? I know I've heard enough of yours to know that you were not a believer, and now you're more really researching and looking into the things of Scripture. And I've heard a little bit of your, I guess, testimony. So where are you at now? Are you kind of digging more into historical things? Are you looking at prophecies? Are you looking at character, like how to actually walk this out? Like where are you at right now in your walk?
Yeah, good question. There's sort of a difference between like Tavo, the YouTuber, and where I am, right? Like, so for instance, like I don't talk about this a lot on the channel, but like one of the things that's sort of influencing my theological transition from non-believer to believer, which is still ongoing, is that over time I do feel like I've been personally a little bit transformed over the last 2 years. And there are some people who are personally in my life who are like helping sort of to shepherd that journey. And so that's been really meaningful. And so I would say that even though I have sort of calibrated uncertainty in my purely academic.
YHVH means he is. It's the verb to be in the third person masculine. He is. All right. When it's pronounced ahaya, as in Exodus 3:14, it means I am. So YHVH means he is. Okay, he is.
I'm fairly certain that if there's any religion that's true, it's a religion based on Jesus. From my own personal perspective, how certain am I that there is a God? That's probably about 55, 60%. My certainty that if there's a religion that's true, it's a religion based on Jesus, that's probably around 80, 85%.
I think the fact that you are searching is very it's a smart move. I'll just say that. And I think what's even more important is that everybody examines. So a lot of people get comfortable. They grow up in the church and they get comfortable. Yeah, I know all the songs. Yeah, of course I know that verse. Heard a sermon on it 20,000 times, but they stop actually applying the word to their life, which is something that I've been really reflecting on for a while now. And then I'm constantly trying to examine myself. And even in my understanding, that's why I say on my channel all the time, my understanding is not set. I could change my mind very happily at the drop of a dime. If I'm wrong, I want to be corrected. And what I find, unfortunately, was a lot of the people, this is part of the reason why, too, I'm just like, I'm done with the same people, at least, talking to the same people over the same thing, is because you come to a realization that they're not there to actually reason and like discuss and have a conversation. They're there to win an argument. And God's word never commands us, hey, go win an argument. Paul, in fact, in the book of Acts, I recently just did a whole stream where I just did the whole book of Acts, and Paul says numerous times, I challenge everybody in here, go count how many times he says, I went to this town, went to these people, and I sat down and I reasoned with them. So what does that take? Does that take you screaming, yelling, calling people dumb, making clips to show how you demolish this person or ruin this person's life or career? No, that's nothing Christ-like. And I guarantee God, the God of the Bible, is not smiling, looking down and saying, wow, I'm just so proud of you, how you handle this. Like, I'm so proud of you. Like, so if we can't see God literally joyful at the way that we're handling this stuff, then something's wrong. And I think only true believers, people who truly who have the knowledge of the doctrine, a lot of people do. I'm talking about people whose lives have.
The Trinity is the Trinity. The name YHVH is for the Trinity. It applies to the whole Trinity. So that's the pronoun is just. It's when it says he is. I mean, I think the Trinity because it's triunity. It's like all three persons are referred to as he. He is. But yeah, that's a good question.
That's beautiful. I agree. And even though I'm agreeing with you, I can't say that I have exemplified what you're saying. Like, I really felt like, honestly, like, Jackie, who's a good friend of the channel, we had a really long conversation after I did that 5-hour LDS debate because it was, by the way, people are commenting in the chat that you got a happy sounding baby there. So obviously the motherhood comes first. So I'm glad you're here, but your baby does sound really happy. And thanks, Macintosh Pro. Please support the channel. If you haven't already, go over and Teach Yahweh's channel. It's a really great channel. I would recommend people check it out. But I have definitely been guilty of transgressing what your advice is, even though I'm really resonating with it right now. I think a good example.
This is boring. I'm gonna come back later. I'm gonna come back to this guy later because I was wanting to talk to him about his comments about some things he was saying before, but I guess I'll find another time.
The children who were not allowed to approach Jesus, but he tells them to let them because if nobody becomes like these, that they will not enter heaven. And make sure that you don't make them fall because their angels in heaven see the face of my Father. So we all have angels. We all have what we call guardian angels.
No, we don't.
Those are pretty much like the messengers who see.
Wrong numbering. Okay, can you show me where you guys declared this canon then, please?
Brother, we just said that it's consensus in the church. We go by.
I can show that you're not right.
Infallible.
That, you again, think that the biblical canon. Now I can't get words. The biblical canon has never been declared in the Eastern Orthodox Church, yet you guys are telling me something different. We want to have
We
a
don't
battle
have
of
to
proof.
declare
I
everything.
can prove it. Yeah, but you don't understand, do you? Your people.
Marlon, you're muted, Marlon.
Marlon, you're muted.
Marlon, you're muted.
Marlon, you're like literally. We see you saying guys, so I stopped, but because I know you and I'm respect your platform, but you're definitely muted.
This guy's muted.
Yeah, I had the mic on a keypad muted. Yeah, goofball. But how about we do this, man? Why don't
from that channel, from the Debatable
pull out the source that you're referring to,
channel, yeah.
quote or whatever.
I'll pull up a source.
I'm a Trinitarian.
Sure, I'll pull up.
Pull that out and allow Alex.
You want to talk about
Nick
Trinitarianism?
Because I think we're just going to go back and
Come up
forth
here,
and
buddy.
the consensus. It's a consensus, and we're not going to make any headway. So why don't you pull that source out, then we can.
All right, I'll share. No problem.
I did cite numerous councils.
Marlon, I don't have a share thing on my screen at the bottom. I don't know if you've done some of the settings. Let me minimize. Maybe it's me. I got it.
The most famous Protestant church historian, Philip Schaff, says that the canon was settled after the Carthaginian Code was in the West. After the Carthaginian Code was ratified in Rome by Pope Gelasius and Pope Innocent I.
But whatever.
And then he says it remained that way until the Reformation. That's your own Protestant scholar.
Oh, I mean,
so here we go. Here's one, Marlon. Here's one, Marlon, right there. Let's just throw that up on the screen. The Eastern Church has never conclusively defined the canon of Scripture in authoritative statements such as those ultimately pronounced in the West. The most unusual aspect of the canon of Scripture among the Orthodox is that no official canon exists at all, and the canon remains somewhat loose. In the words of Alex, that's your scholar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
do you realize we don't have to declare? Do you think we just declare things?
No. Remember how my question started. It was Nick who said, without an infallible canon list, you cannot
the little horn is a bad thing generally. Little horn is basically the Antichrist, isn't it? I is always singular. Yeah, because it's triunity. Triunity is singular.
Infallible pronouncements. That's a quote from Nick.
Yeah.
So this is saying there is no canon. So how do you have no canon yet an infallible canon?
Yeah, so I'll answer it once again. So again, we believe that it is based on the consensus. So my question would be, what is your argument as to why a consensus cannot?
Brother, you're claiming something that I have.
Well, I'm going to finish my statement. I'm going to finish my statement now. My question is, what is your argument that the consensus cannot declare something and that it must be in one specific authoritative statement?
Did your scholar forget this consensus when they wrote this article?
I know. I'm not saying that. I think that when he's talking about it being somewhat loose, that he's speaking about the fact that books can be added. I am not aware of any scholar, though, and you can show me this and disprove me this. I am not aware of any scholar who says, though, that there's a possibility that one of the 76 books is not truly inspired.
What do you mean, as in it's deuterocanonical, as in you don't draw doctrine from it?
As in any of the books that they're not inspired.
Yeah, so not
by
inspired
God
would mean you wouldn't draw doctrine from it, right? Is that what you mean? Wait, do you mean you would not draw doctrine from it? I need to be understood.
Trinity is
I think books can be inspired by God, and you still don't draw doctrine from them.
So a book would be inspired by God, yet deuterocanonical?
It's still coherent because the one.
I'll get back to that in a second. Can somebody tell me how you can have an infallible canon?
I'm asking
wait
you now.
I'm literally trying to get clarity. Your statement
I
is,
just asked you that.
bro. Now I'm going to finish my statement now, just like you finished your statement. So this is what happens when people try to talk with each other, and then when I ask questions, you interject, you stop. So now, as I was saying, because here's what you went over. You said we have a consensus of a canon, yet I have a source in front of me that says you have no canon. How do you have no canon and a consensus of a canon? That's an A and not A.
It says no official canon.
We have no canon. Dude,
it says no official canon.
Yeah, that means there is no. Do you know what official means?
Oh my God.
There's no definitive statement on what it is.
He's clearly talking about an authoritative.
What are you talking about, Daniel? A robber coming? Let me see this thing. Where's my Bible? Okay, so you shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change these times and laws. Words at the side of the Most High he will speak. Against the Most High, Tzad. Oh yeah, this side. Yeah, speak side the Most High, side the Most High. It means against, man. In this context, it means against. Okay, like you're just being at the side of. Yeah, suggest the speaker is setting himself as an equal or rival to God rather than just speaking against him from below. Okay, yeah, that's true. I agree with this. I agree with this. I agree with what you're saying here, Robert Cummins. It's Aramaic here. That's true. Turn from side to side. At the side of. On this side of the hill, on that side. Right. So speak great words at the side of the Most High, as if he is the Most High, trying to be in that place, right? That's interesting. Thanks. I appreciate that, Robert Cummins. That's why I'm not a Trinitarian. Why would that imply a Trinitarian is false? I find Jesus co-equal with the same substance. So, God's creator, and I see it. Only we spoke words that elevate someone. Well, the Most High is Jehovah, not just anyone. Jesus is Jehovah. You understand this, right? Jesus is clearly Jehovah. For example, we can see. For example, look at Isaiah 40 verse 3. The voice of him that cried in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Right. So the voice of him that cried in the wilderness is John the Baptist, and he prepares the way of the Lord. But that's Jesus, right? So Jesus is Jehovah. All four gospel writers use this quote to refer to Jesus. Yahweh is in his name, he holds it. Who holds it? The Father? Who holds it? All three of them hold it. As I was saying to you, can you explain this passage? Can you explain this? Because all four New Testament writers, all four of them, use this passage to prepare to discuss John the Baptist. Yeah, John 17. Look, have you read John 17:5? The glory I have with you since the beginning of the world. All right, I'll read it. But can you explain this passage, please, Robert Cummins? Can you please explain this passage? You can come up here, by the way. You can come up here and talk about it. You're welcome. Okay. But can you please explain this passage right now? Anyway, I don't know, guys. Should we continue this, or is this getting boring, or what? Like, I don't really care one way or another, but Yep. Do Jews believe in the pre-existence of all souls? No, they don't. Were you born from above? I was, yes. I was. Okay, that's fine. Why did Christianity stop believing in the pre-existence of all souls, and why? When did Christianity ever begin to believe that? I never heard of that view in Christianity, and that I never heard of that view in Judaism either. Oh, but still love for one day. Oh, that's fine. How about you stay what you believe? Yeah. J Money, what's up? J Money, what's up, bro?
Yo, TBS, what up, man?
What's up, man? How are
Say,
you,
look,
bro?
everything good, man. I see you was up. You know, I have to say what's up. Check up on you. You know what I mean? Everything good?
Yeah, everything good, man. Everything good. Nice to see you, bro.
That's right, man. You know what I'm saying? I can't. I be here a lot. I just never see the link. This is the first time I ever come here and see the link. I would have been coming here for a time, you know.
Yeah. I don't usually put it out, but sometimes, like today, I was talking to this guy, like another atheist guy, and as usual, they're not fair in their conversation. You see, you were there that night when I was on Gretchen's stream, right?
Yes.
Dude, those guys, like, look, you know what? I admit I made a mistake when we were talking about like dark matter and dark energy and stuff. So fine, whatever, right? I made a mistake.
Yeah.
But then when we're talking about the philosophy and the metaphysics and stuff, they would just cut me off. They would just like, or three people would answer me at the same time, or you know what I mean? They just wouldn't let me talk properly, you know? And eventually then JL starts coming on telling me like, oh, metaphysics is irrelevant, and then he mutes me and stuff. So I just left, you know? I'm gonna literally break down how ridiculous those guys are, you know? But anyway.
I mean, my
What do
thing
you
is,
think about that? Go ahead.
I look at it like verbal sparring. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're only as good as the training you do, right? If they treat you, you know, a certain level of ease or don't press upon you a certain way, then you won't have that experience. Now you understand, you know, how to navigate that, how to, you know, how to deal with it better. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you walking away feeling like, you know, you did no wrong. You know the mistakes you made and you see what they did, and you know, now you gotta just present it better, I guess, you know. Like me, I gotta present. Yeah, you know, we live, we learn, and patience goes a long way. You know what I'm saying? I've learned. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I get the best of myself. You see what I'm saying? Like I, you know, I act in a way where it's just not good for me. Generally, you get what I'm saying? Like I'll get mad. You know, I'll lack patience, stuff like that. It's not the way for me, right? But everybody's different.
Yeah.
But you know, what was that? What was you gonna say?
I was gonna ask you, what do you think about those questions of like metaphysics? Like, I know those guys. Those guys go on as if they solved all the problems, but they haven't. You know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I think that they understand that there's more to this, right? That science still has a long way to go, and you know they understand that they admit that much. But I think that we do have a lot of established science, right? That sometimes, you know, like this is why the book you know, kind of like it hits me from certain different angles, because it's like I grew up on the book. I want to believe the book, but a lot of it contradicts science, things that are provable, things we could see and use. So it's like they trying to stick to the data, right? And they're not wrong for that. You see what I'm saying? Like science to me is the only justified truth out there. You get what I'm saying? Like it's the only thing provable, you know? So
it's something
like
it's not provable. Well, I mean, okay, I get where you're going. I get where you're going with the science being very, very powerful and very useful. But what do you think in science disproves the Bible? What do you think?
well, like, okay, I wouldn't
The age
say
of the
maybe
universe,
disproves it, right? I wouldn't say disproves it. I would say more like it's inaccurate, because people could have lied. You know, people took those words and, you know, they did whatever they wanted. But like, if you look at the, you know, they took out books, they put in books. And if you look at the creation story, it doesn't align with anything science has shown us, how galaxies form, how things happen, how things emerge. They don't get specific. They leave a lot of it to rhetoric and interpretation. People infuse their own interpretations into things, and that's just not how the scientific method works. That doesn't suffice. It actually goes against everything the scientific method is. In fact, if all scientists don't agree on this, then it's still not going to be widely accepted. It won't make it into the textbooks until this is undisputedly the notion all around the board. Now, give me one notion in Christianity that's universally neutral across all Christians outside of the belief in Christ, like Unitarianism, for example, Trinitarianism. There's so many different things. There's so many different sectors of the book, the same book. You understand what I'm saying? It's not how science works.
Okay, well that's fair, but theology is different than science, though, right? So we can have disputes, debates in theology, and there are debates in science too. There are debates over different issues in science as well, right? So it's not that they don't have their debates and there are things that they're not sure about. But what I
Yeah.
would say is, like, when you say like science disproves the Bible, or like take something like the age of the Earth, or like the notion that humans evolved from lower animals or whatever, right?
Mhm.
These things. I mean, I just put it like this. I think there's different ways of making scientific arguments. Like there's arguments that are from like experiments which you observe in real time, where you can repeat the experiment again and again. So when I
Yeah.
do an experiment on like this chemical, for chemical A into chemical B, it explodes.
Mm.
Every time you do that, it explodes. So now we know. We know for a fact that chemical A and chemical B, when you mix them, they explode. That's a
Exactly.
given, right?
Hmm.
But another kind of scientific claim would be like the universe is 13 billion years old. That claim is not something you could test in an experiment, right?
Well,
It's still, I'm not saying it's impossible to make claims about the age of the universe, but I think they're not as strong. It's not as strong. It's not as strong scientifically as something like an experiment. But go ahead. What do you think?
I do think it is, because we send up powerful telescopes that help us map the universe. These telescopes are designed in a way where it takes like unimaginable amount of photographs and puts them together in a way that maps the universe in a way that no camera can. It captures so much, right? And like that alone, like it goes piece by piece, and it goes further and further out. The more further out we see, and we can see how far apart things are. We know how far apart from us our planets are. We can literally map it out like the way we could a neighborhood. You understand what I'm saying? Except this is not just a neighborhood on the planet, it's the celestial neighborhood, like space itself. It's almost like a graph paper. You can graph it out. You see what I'm saying? The earth being just one object on a massive graph paper. Like, but a graph paper nonetheless, like it has its points and coordinates, and you can create that using these telescopes that we've sent up. It didn't just happen. Somebody didn't just make it happen. This took hundreds of years of scientific data and cause and error and, error and error and error before they got it right, and then more right and then more right. You see what I'm saying? To the point where at the end of this month, we're going to send up the Nancy Grace Roman telescope, which is 100 times bigger than the Hubble. It's just, we making scientific advancements, and that's why we say what we say. Like, that's why people say what they say about the universe and light years and how light works. Like, we test these things. We see how fast light moves. You see what I'm saying? We see how many light years there are between our planets. And then we see, yeah, sorry.
Go ahead. No, you're good. But are you okay? Let me explain why I think there's still reason to doubt, not quite the same thing. So, for example, first of all, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, the light speed and the red shift and all this stuff, it does indicate, or it seems to strongly indicate, some kind of Big Bang cosmology or origin of the universe, right? So that there is a strong evidentiary basis for that, right? But it's different than like, this is why it's different, okay? So when they do that, when they make those kind of arguments, right? What they're doing is they're taking the data and they're explaining it. They're giving you the best explanation. They call it inference to the best explanation. But they can't test that explanation, right? Unlike when I have like the chemical A, chemical B experiment, we know what caused that. If we don't pour chemical A into chemical B, it doesn't explode. If we pour it in, it does explode. Every single time it happens. We tested 1,000 times. We make bombs out of it. We use it to like do mining and to make whatever. So we know it works. So it's like unquestionable. We've tested it 1,000,000 times. But with this thing, what they're doing is they're looking at the data and they're making this narrative, this model that kind of explains the data, and they can't test the model. So, for example, let's say you go outside, you see that. Oh, no, wait. You come downstairs in the morning, you see that the umbrella is wet, is leaning on the chair. Okay, now you might say to yourself, okay, probably it's raining outside. Probably somebody went out, took the umbrella, and went outside. It was raining.
Yeah,
and that'd be a good theory. What you didn't know is your kid took the umbrella and was going outside, was playing with the kid from next door, and the kid next door had a hose. I was spraying your kid, and your kid was guarding you with the umbrella, and then he came in and put the umbrella down, and it's a wet umbrella. So you didn't know that part. So that's the truth. The only reason you didn't know the truth is because you didn't have all the information.
Yeah.
And it's the same situation with this kind of thing, with Big Bang cosmology, with evolution. And I'm not trying to say that they're stupid theories or that we could just throw them in the garbage or anything like that. But I am saying that there is that element of, we don't have all the data. We don't know for sure. But go ahead. What were you gonna say to that?
I do think that there are a lot of instances where that is the case, right? But it goes back to the way scientists work, right? Nothing is ever for no reason. They don't just throw things out there. You know what I'm saying? It's usually backed by statistical data, like, and that's how they advance. They don't move forward unless they've covered the ground. Like, for example, like, when we send out these telescopes, we're literally seeing light. First of all, we know how light works. When we see something that's very far away, we see it as it was, not as it is. So that alone is anomalous. We had to learn that about light, right? We had to learn that when we're looking back, we're looking basically through a time machine. You never really see nothing as it is, including our sun. Our sun is always as it was 8 minutes ago. You understand? We don't even see our sun in real time. So, when you take those things into consideration, like we have understanding of the laws of physics and how they work. And I'll be the one to tell you, I do believe there's more to them laws. And so you do make good points when you say, okay, there could be a deeper truth that you're not seeing based on your perspective. In your perspective, you coming out the building, you see the water, you making inferences based on your perspective. And there's probably a deeper truth. I can see that. But there's a basis where you came to that conclusion. You didn't just come up with that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you have good reason to feel why there's rain there. Maybe there is a deeper truth that you can uncover, and science leaves room for that. It leaves room for that deeper truth. It's always asking the questions and always willing to update itself, right? Science ain't making a definitive claim, it's just a method. A scientist can make a claim and run with it, like Avi Loeb, and tell you it's aliens when he don't know for sure. That's a science. That's an individual thing. Science, the method itself, don't work that way. So I, I see what you're saying, but I don't think that what they're saying is completely baseless. I think that that it
No.
stems from a lot of truth,
Yeah.
And if they're
No.
off, they're not off by much.
Yeah. Well. Let me say this now. I agree with you. What they're saying is not based. I don't dismiss them. I'm not one of these Christians who's just like, oh, you weren't there, so you don't know. I'm not like that. I'm not like that. I get what they're saying. It's scientific. It's strong. They've got strong data. It's interesting, right? But let me give you an example. Like, there's this thing called Hubble tension.
Yeah.
It's like the measurement of the present expansion rate using they use the nearby stars in the supernova. It differs from values that are inferred from the early universe using the CMB and those things, right? In the standard cosmological model.
Mm,
So there's this difference there. It means that it could be there could be some systematic error in their calculations. It could be that their model's incomplete. It could be that there's some genuinely new physics there, but there is room there for the idea of a much younger universe than they're claiming. That's possible. That's possible. There's also this idea that dark energy, it may not be constant. You know, I mean,
mm,
of course, it might be constant. That's their assumption, right? But we don't know that for sure, right? So what if that's not constant? Then it could be a whole different ball game. So there's things like that. That's what I mean. Like, we don't know the full picture. It might be that the kid was playing with the umbrella. We don't really know all the details. So that's why there are these issues there, right? That's the first thing I would say. And then the
yeah.
second thing I would say, oh, go ahead, go ahead. What do you think about that? Go
No,
ahead.
no, yeah, no, that's good. I agree. I could see where you make those inferences, and I could see where science may disagree. It's like there's room for both, to be honest. Like, no one has proof, but there are things that science does have proof on. And it's just, you know, a
Right, yeah,
scientist, a scientist just wants to prove reality. That's all they want to do. They just want to extract truths about reality and make life better. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the inferences that are made in science, like dark energy, dark matter, these are things that we know must be there based on our data on other things. Like, this is happening here, and the only way this could happen here is if there's a mass there. You see what I'm saying? That's the only thing that can explain certain anomalies that we've come across in space. So what do they propose? They propose some sort of matter is there, but they can't see the matter. So they call it dark matter. You understand? Just invisible matter, something that we've never touched, we've never held, but we know is there based on the
right,
forensics, if you will,
right,
of
right.
the universe. You understand what I'm saying? So
Sure.
we use this data to make the stuff we use every day, our phones, our telescopes, everything. So it's not just baseless. You get what I'm saying? A lot of this works. So even the stuff you're saying is like, oh, they're just making a guess, or there's a difference between you know the scientific method being implemented and just a guess generally from
Yeah.
just general guess. Like, science, we could trust the science, I believe.
Well, okay, yeah, we can trust the science, but even like what I was saying to you before about the Hubble tension or the idea that dark energy may not be constant or these kind of things, like that is science, right? It's just like it's not the science that's pushed out to us. The way it's usually presented is that they're very sure about everything, but there are these holes in their theories. There are these explanations that need more research and stuff, right? So that's the first thing I would say, because it's one thing to say, okay, like I was saying to you, it's one thing to say, okay, we've ran this experiment a million times. We know every time we run a current through a wire, there's going to be a magnetic field. We made electromagnets, we made TVs, we made speakers. We know this works, right? That's different than like your theory about 13 billion years ago when you saw based on like some redshift in the stars. And once again, I'm not saying it's all a bunch of nothing. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that it's not the same level of epistemological certainty there. You know what I mean? We don't know for sure the way we know for sure that chemical A and chemical B always explode. You know? So
Because we could, yeah.
oh, go ahead.
So
No,
no,
go
I'm
ahead, you
saying we can tangibly touch those chemicals here on the earth. We can't tangibly touch all that time ago. But due to like we make these telescopes, we know how strong they are and what they should be able to pick up once we send them out there, how far they should be able to see. You know, we start off close and then we go bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then now we got these telescopes that could just see so far to the edges of the universe. You see what I'm saying? Because we know how strong they are. We see what they're bringing back, and we know how to read this information to make sense of it, to see that it's this big. Because we're looking back in time and we're seeing that's basically what happens when you look in 300 million years past the Big Bang. You're looking back to that time as it was that day. So the universe is anomalous in that sense, but we make predictions. We send up telescopes. You know, we have GPS because of this. You know, we have internet because of these same predictions, these same things. Like we don't just come up with it. We send up these telescopes and they give us back this data. We process it and it lets us know what we're in. You know, like light behaves a certain way. We have experimented on light to see that it does travel a certain way. We know how light works and how it moves and the amount of distances it could traverse, like
But, but
187,000 miles per second.
you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You're looking at the stuff I'm pointing out. I agree. Those things that are testable in our day and age
Yeah.
are good. Are very. It's very difficult to deny those claims, right? But what I'm saying
Yes.
to you is that a claim such as the universe is 13 billion years old, that's based on other claims that are not similar, that are untestable. So
Well,
yes, we can light speed and all those things. So yes, there's certain things that yeah we can take for granted. It's true, like yeah, like or whatever you were saying about GPS and stuff. But like the idea that if we know that dark energy evolves, or it's just strong hints that dark energy may evolve, right? If it evolves, if it changes over time, then the standard model of the creation of the universe may be way off, you know, and that's a real possibility right now, you know. What do you think?
it is. It definitely is. There's room for a lot of things to change, but where we are now, we didn't get there just throwing things together, you know, just saying, it could be this or that. We got there through extensive data research, you know, funding, and these guys really went the distance to like try to figure this thing out. And there are anomalies. Like even the greatest of minds won't be able to uncover everything in the universe. We're always going to hit a wall to some degree, and our best minds are at work. But it's tried and true. You see it in the stuff we're using now, the very internet we're using, the very stuff that we're taking advantage of is real, it's tangible. You could put your hands on it like you can that chemical. And if that chemical that you see that you mix with the other chemicals real and it will explode, and every time you mix it, it explodes, so it becomes real, then this technology that is a direct result from that data should be just as real and taken just as, you know, right, as adamantly, because it's, you know, just as tangible as those chemicals. You see what I'm saying? Except those things like the phones, the GPS, the satellites are things that are direct results from the data that, you know, one might question is a little questionable, that could change at any moment, that something fundamental could change and the whole picture changes, right? But enough work was done from where we are to see that it's not just from nothing. Like a lot of this stuff is true. How much of it is not, who knows? We'll update it as we go. But we're not doing bad. Like science is doing good. You get what I'm saying? I don't know.
Oh, so yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you're saying. I just wanted to distinguish. See, the distinction I'm trying to make here is between the stuff we use every day. The technology we use is from stuff we can test, science we can test, experiments, and then we make technology, and all that stuff is very, very real and testable, and we should believe it. But there's other science which I'm not saying it's stupid when they say the universe is 13 billion years old. I'm not saying it's stupid, but I am saying that it's not quite the same level of certainty as something like the light speed or like technology and stuff, you know? Like
Yeah,
these things that we've tested is those things are there's high level of certainty. The age of the universe, not so much, you know. But what do you think?
I think that once you learn how light speed works, once you learn how to like read different planets, like you said, redshift and different techniques they have of, understanding, what's going on out there. Once you have that picture, which you understand the expansion rate of the universe, you understand that gravity is a force that we also can't touch or put in a bottle, but due to our accurate measurements and experiments, we were able to do things directly using gravity. Like gravity is how we get our satellites and send rockets into space. So, for it to be something that we can't touch, taste, feel, right? Like gravity, it's something that we must really have gotten some sort of understanding about, like somehow, because we're doing all of this with just our measurements from gravity. Whatever gravity, whatever the measurements we think it should be based on what we understand about gravity, that's what we use. And we successfully send up so many spaceships, so many telescopes. We make so much technologies based on these, what you would maybe say, unproven, data, because who has gravity to touch it and put it in a bottle and experiment it like you
Oh
can those
well, okay,
chemicals.
okay. Well, let me stop you there. Let me stop you there
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah. So
when it comes to gravity, right? I'll
yes.
accept it. I'll accept the theory, but that's where like so let's think about it this way. They had the Newtonian gravity. It was explaining everything very well until they started observing things that were a little bit off from Newton's calculations. Then they came up with Einsteinian gravity, right? And that
Hmm.
explained that explained the observations much better. But then there were still things that were problematic. So that's why they came up with dark matter, and then they had to come up with other things such as that, right? Now, like even dark energy and all those things, and all those things are inferred, they're not really actually observable, right? So it's like a lot of things that are kind of so I believe gravity is a good theory, but it's also not a complete theory, and it's also not so it's not quite at the level of like again certainty that we have with some of the science that we do on Earth, or like with experiments and stuff. That's why I still think there's this difference that I don't think a lot of people draw that line where they should, where there's a difference between this really well tested science and this other stuff that's more speculative. I'm not saying it's a bunch of woo, but I am saying that it's more speculative, But what do you think?
Well, maybe more speculative, but like not really, because right, okay, gravity, we do things with that. We don't just say this is how it is, right? We don't just say this is a possibility and this is whatever. No, we present you real things that happen due to that measurement. Basically, that measurement says this is how it is, and if we do this, then this should happen. Now, if you did that, right, whether or not someone told you or you found it in a book, you followed every step, and every step came right. It was thriving in every step, even past completion, and you thrive even further, like the way we do with science, and we use those equations to thrive even more and find out even more. And then we go from gravity, we get to dark energy, dark matter, and then we go from atoms to neutrons to quarks. You understand? All the way down to the Planck scale. You know what I'm saying? It goes down further because we make inferences from the previous. So we say it has to be something more than just the atom. So maybe you know, who knows, right? Then you dig further and you realize, oh snap, it's more. It's like electrons and stuff like that under the atom or something like that. And then underneath that, you got quarks and stuff like that. But the inferences come in order. It comes in that order. The same way you could work it forward is the same way you could work it back in the order that we found it. And it advanced. And it advanced because science works that way. And if science didn't work that way, it wouldn't advance. And we've made so many advancements, and our technology just keeps getting better. So when do we hit the point where it doesn't work? Because every time we put the scientific method that is tried and true and tested and it's in our textbooks, it works.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, you're right. You're right. That method's pretty good so far. It has some weaknesses too, but it's like
everything does.
Everything does. That's true too. But what I would say is just that I'm just trying to like make you see that like I think when these scientists they treat things like evolution or the Big Bang Theory as basically equivalent to the idea that chemical A and chemical B always explode. And that's not the case. That's simply not the case, you know? I'm not saying we should throw those theories into the garbage, that they're stupid. I'm not saying that. But it's simply not the case that they're the same evidentiary basis as chemical A and chemical B always explode. Those things are tested a million times. These things are never tested. They're impossible to test, you know? And although they have some good evidence, there is always that missing thing that we don't quite know whether dark energy evolves. We don't quite know whether whether we miscalculated how much dark matter there is or whatever. Like these type of things are always in the background, you know.
Yeah, no, I hear you, but here's the thing, right? Dark matter and dark energy are concepts. It's just placeholders for what they really are, right? Because we've never touched it.
Right.
The whole name is literally just like an analogy to what it's supposed to represent more so than what it actually is. It's just a placeholder to give us an understanding of theoretically what it could be, but more importantly, how it works and how we could use it, right? It turns it into something usable. It turns it into dark matter now. Now this thing that we can't see or touch or sense, right? Or tangibly hold, we don't even know if it's there. We've somehow found a way to harness it, if you will, because even though we're not harnessing it, because we're not doing nothing with it, right? But we're now able to like detect it. It's like it was hiding among the sheep and we found it.
yeah. I hear you saying. Detective's not quite the right word, right? But I know what you're saying because what they're doing is they're seeing that there's the way this like galaxy is operating. Should be more gravity there than the matter we're seeing, so there must be some dark matter there, right? So yeah, you can kind of detect it in that way. Yeah, I get
exactly. So now, not only that, right? Because that's one inference. Now you could have left it at that. Not you. I'm saying the scientists could have left it at that, but no, they take it one step further. They take that inference, right, and they make mathematical equations and they do things like they predict things that come true down to the millisecond. It's not like it's off by a lot and we're still refining it. No, every single time it's done, we get it down to an accuracy level that's just stunning.
Very good. Yeah, it's very impressive. Yeah, for sure.
You understand what I'm saying?
I'm not doubting the presence of dark matter, but like for example, the fact that dark energy may not be constant, or the fact that like that there's that all these things are basically inferential. That's the other thing. The fact that I get that they calculate these things, so it's like okay, there must be something they're making gravity or whatever, and therefore it's very strong evidence that there is something there that we could call dark matter. But the fact that we're really not able to detect all these things still point to this missing part of our knowledge that we shouldn't ignore that, we shouldn't just ignore that. But anyway,
no, yeah, for sure, I agree. That's what science doesn't do. Science exactly doesn't do that, and all the questions that it has is honest enough to like let you know, right? It's something that's universal. Everybody has science in them. Anybody can wake up one day, go to school, and be a scientist.
Okay. Oh, well, let me put it this way. I don't know if you saw our whole conversation that night, but I was talking to the astrophysics guy, the astrophysicist guy,
Yeah,
and
Chase, cool guy.
Chase, right? So he thinks it's stupid, the idea of a god, right? And I'm trying to explain to them that science doesn't even address the question of science cannot address the question of why is there a universe rather than not? That question, just a simple question like that. Why is there a universe rather than no universe?
Well,
Why, you know?
yeah,
Go ahead.
that's kind of like going to like I don't know, like someone you see hitting a bag in the gym, right? In boxing, he's just hitting the bag in the gym, right? And then you go to him and say, "Oh well, why don't you go try to become Muhammad Ali?" And he says, "No, I'm just trying to hit this bag." But like,
Yeah.
and then you hit him with the, "Oh well, if you don't want to be the world champion or the greatest fighter ever, then why even do it?" You understand? Like in his eyes, it's like that's not what I'm intending for.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I'm
Oh yeah.
using the method in
No,
this way. You get what I'm saying? Like,
no. That's not. That was what I was trying to point out about this guy. The guy Chase or other people like that, Doctor Professor Dave or whoever, right? These type of people, right?
yeah,
They understand, or they should understand, that science simply cannot answer those questions, but they still try to give you an answer. We're talking. I was talking to those guys for a while about metaphysics and stuff. He starts getting in there saying, I denied that we can know that there's reality beyond the universe. I said that. Like we
yeah,
can't know that there might be something. Reality doesn't have to necessarily end in the universe. There might be something else, right?
yeah.
There might be a multiverse.
That's
There
a
might
fact.
be a god, right? But
Yeah.
he's trying to deny. He tried to deny based on the fact that universe means all reality in his mind. That's what he thinks. It's so dumb. But he tried to say that because the universe supposedly means all reality, that therefore there cannot be any reality outside the universe. That's the kind of thinking that dominates with these scientists, or not scientists, but it's like a lot of people that get into that frame of mind. I'm not saying that's not a problem with science, but it is a problem with a lot of people who practically worship science, or think that science disproves God or whatever. You know what I mean? What do you think about that?
I mean, I think science is just a method. Anybody taking it further than that, worshiping science, like that's just bizarre. You know what I'm saying? Just like anything else that you worship, like worshiping artwork, people do that. You know, people have a worship gene in them. I believe. Like we've always been curious and always been susceptible to, fall for that ever since the
Well,
beginnings of time. You know,
If
so
this if this me you say that, first of all, why do we have a worship gene? If I think the reason we have a worship gene is because God made us to worship Him. First of all, but secondly, like, what was I gonna say? It's like this thing with these people that try to insist that they could just disprove God through science. It's like I don't know. I forget what I was gonna say, but anyway.
I think science proves God. That's what I'm saying. It opens up the complexities and the real reality of the universe to show there's more going on. Like it, the more and more it proves to me that we just can't extract certain answers from reality. The more and more it shows me that, like that's just what it is. Like we're only gonna get but so far. That just leaves open the room for the endless, like the endless possibility. I don't know what life is like beyond consciousness as I'm experiencing it now. So it indicates to me that the act of experiencing is part of everything. It's part of what we all are. Everything has to experience in order to experience. Yeah, it has to form, it has to develop the ability to experience, then it has to begin experiencing, like the way we do in the womb and go from whatever, and then we develop brains and we become these beings. But it's clearly a system that's embedded in the stuff itself. We are engulfed in a huge system, like the way our earth is like a big ecosystem with ozone layers and all of that. I simply suppose there's more out there, and when I say they look at me the same way. Oh, that's crazy talk. Oh, he's high. He's this. He's that. All right, cool. I don't listen. There's enough room in this world for all of our opinions. I don't think nobody's dumb. I don't think you dumb. I don't think he's dumb. I think everybody, you know, has something to contribute. Some people got mistaken. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Like that's where building and talking about it comes, and not tearing one another down. That's what I try not to do. You get what I'm saying? But it is what it is. Ultimately, look, God is a concept more so than anything. Nobody found God in tangible reality. There's no spaceship that could show you the location of God right now. There's no, we can't jump on a SpaceX rocket and fly to God right now. We can't do that. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to depend on the same faith that you say the scientists got to depend on. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it goes back to my statement about two people on the opposite sides of the same field of confusion. You know, the only one that got it really right is the one in the middle that doesn't know. You know what I'm saying? The agnostic, because the God believer doesn't know if there's a God. He just believes it. And the science follower, the person looking at the data has to infer that there's no God, because the data will never say, hey, there's no God. It will never do that. It's just not how the thing works. So both are out of justified reason to say that. It's all belief at the end of the day. You see what I'm saying? And I see the same tendencies on both sides of the fence. I see how certain viewers of theists and how they support their people and how they contribute and whatever. I see atheists do the same thing in their way, just on the opposite side of the fence. It's the same thing. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know.
Definitely, no, I agree with you. So on both sides of the fence, there's this problem of people who are not thinking properly, not using logic properly, and trying to kind of almost bully people into their way of thinking. And so that happens on both sides, right? Religious and the atheist, right? So that's wrong. And maybe that's partly what I was complaining about before with chasing them or those guys. But like, I do think like those guys are a bit crazy with it, the way they go on about it. But like, what do you think about this idea that like, I mean, they put it down. Taco and them will put it down. This idea of presuppositionalism, the idea that like logic and even an intelligible universe, intelligible meaning a universe we can possibly understand at all. It almost indicates that there's a God. At least the best explanation for it is that there's a God. You know, logic and those things, the laws of logic and those type of things. The fact that they exist. You know, what do you think about that?
I mean, that's the thing. Logic is a human construct. Like the term logic is what we use to like describe things that make sense to us logically, things that make logical sense, right? And it takes minds for that to happen. You erase every single mind in existence, or any mind that could process what it is to be logical, and what happens to the construct that is logic. It goes away, right? Because logic is something.
Let me explain why it isn't. Why it's not the case. For example, we have like the laws of logic are these, right? You can everything is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
A equals A, and A cannot equal not A, right? So the thing cannot be what it is not. So that's not something that we made up in our heads. That's just the way the universe is. You know, you can't a rock can't be a tree, and a tree can't be a rock. It's just the way the universe is, and that's never going to change. It's a law of the way the universe is, the way reality is. It's also the way we reason about things too. So it's like these laws of logic are just built into reality for some reason. For some reason, it's just like that. Why is that? You know, but go ahead. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that again, it's physics. Physical things react to physical things. It's been that way since the beginnings of time. Like It's all comes down to one thing. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's not just physical though. It's like also even in like the mental. For example, your mind is not your body. You know what I mean? These type of things, right? So it's not just physical. It's like some kind of it's almost like that's why we call it metaphysical. It's metaphysical. You know, the laws of logic. Well, sorry.
Deeper layers.
Yeah.
That's
It's
what
deeper
I agree with.
than the material world, though. You know,
I
that's
agree with
what those guys won't admit, and
No, I agree
that's
with
why I think like you agree? Oh, that's good.
Yeah, but science can't prove that. So I
Yeah.
can't justifiably make that assertion factually. That's that's all. That's the only distinction that I carry between you and I, because I can see that. I always say that all the time. Deeper layers of reality. There's clearly something more going on, and it's not just like outer space itself, the fabric of reality itself. You understand space time, the universe, this stuff, like it's more going on. You understand? There's more layers, light, like spectrums. You know what I'm saying? Like levels. I don't know. Who knows, right? Who really knows, right? Not me. But I tell you this, that makes sense to me. That resonates with me. However, being that I hold science, I turn to science when it comes to any factual claim. This is what I turn to. That's my compass. You understand what I'm saying? Like some people turn to different things. You may turn to the book. You may say, okay, chapter this says this, chapter this says that, right? And that's where you will go with. That's what you will live and die with. You wouldn't even open the science textbooks. Never mind what those blasphemers say. That's how you would probably feel. Or not maybe you, or maybe someone else with a different notion of the book. I turn to science, right? And science doesn't give me the right to make that assertion. And so I can't do that way.
But
But I
wait.
do feel that way.
Aren't you thereby making science into almost like a religion? Because
No.
oh, go ahead.
It's a
Because
tool.
wait. Hold on a second. Before you go on, because science relies on logic and stuff like that, right? So the very fact that you're saying science relies on things that it cannot itself prove.
No.
So you can't say that science is the only source of factual claims. But what do you think about that?
I think that, like, all right, you can use philosophy to obtain certain facts. You can use mathematics to obtain certain facts.
Oh, okay. So
You
philosophy is
know,
not science, right? Philosophy and mathematics, they're
no,
not
no,
the same
no.
science, right?
Those are subsets, in my opinion, of science. They go into bringing to life the
Oh, well, wait. No. Philosophy, I mean, maybe you might say math is a subset of some, maybe somehow. I doubt that even, but philosophy is not. Philosophy is pre-science. It's before science.
yeah, like
Science relies on philosophy, if you think about it. Go ahead.
science relies on philosophy in terms of the linguistics and conveying the data and the messages and stuff like that. Because philosophy, that's all it is. It's a linguistic tool to help convey concepts and complex theories and stuff like that. And it was in place before the scientific method. That's how the scholars used to do it. I call it a subset because a lot of the things that these philosophers were saying back at the time when philosophy was the dominant thing, all of those notions have been usurped by the scientific method. Therefore, like knocking it down a little, like so it kind of becomes a subset, but still useful because you can use philosophical terms and philosophy today to just talk about anything, premise this, premise that, conclusion this, and there's unique terms in philosophy that help you really nail these arguments down and like, you know what I'm saying, take down certain notions, but it's just an argument style. You know what I'm saying? That's what philosophy is. It's just a way to format your words. And science, to convey science, you need words. So yeah, philosophy helps that. Mathematics help that because that's how we're able to carry out the experiments. You cannot conduct certain science without the math. So it all comes together, right? But when you talk science, that's unique. That's specific. You see what I'm saying? That's a process.
Yeah. I
So
wish you here, but I don't know. So I'm thinking about this, like,
science is a process. It's not
yeah.
a religion. It's a process.
But when you say science is the only source of factual claims, that's putting it on the realm of religion now, you know, because nobody thinks, even scientists will mostly make those kind of claims, you know.
I mean, all right. What what else would you turn to try to understand physics, like outer space? Like, would you turn to, I don't know, a poem? No, you wouldn't. I don't think you would. I don't think you would turn to an
I
English
would,
book
I
for that.
wouldn't, I wouldn't, I wouldn't look. I wouldn't make claims about, like, for example, history.
Yeah,
History is not scientifically testable, you know. We don't use science to study history. We just look at old books and stuff, or we look at old archaeological stuff or whatever. You know what I mean?
record,
That's not the same kind of reasoning, right?
records. But you know, it sounds when you can water down the not water down like that. I know that's not what you're trying to do. Like what what I mean is like, okay, again, they don't come to these conclusions for no reason. They do excavations. They, survey the land. They understand tectonic plate shifting. They understand the age of the earth based on certain rocks and certain meteorites that have hit us, and how old those things are, and when the impacts happened, and how much corrosion has occurred in the area, water damage, you know what I'm saying? Like, they could see processes unfold and can kind of like work backwards from the present day. They could see where it's at now and use their technology to work backwards and see what happened, and be able to say, okay, over here, likely there was a flood or a big impact or some sort of earthquake, or they could tell that the earth has a story built into it. There's layers and upon layers that when you uncover them, you know you you can see that there's a story here if you know how to look for it. No different than people back then who had no technology, but they were able to use nothing but just their eyes alone and maybe a stick and some sand in the ground to draw a diagram of the moon and learn the moon phases with no technology, just their curious minds.
Yeah.
You understand? Like, I don't know. Science is different. It's different. It's not. It's the one true thing that I know that I could depend on. You understand? It's why our our kids will live a better life due to science, due to the
Well,
vaccine.
maybe. I mean, yeah, vaccines help kids and stuff like that. But like, let's take those examples for instance, right? Like, we can't just ascribe all human races, like for example, people will say medical science has improved our lifespans and all this stuff. It's actually not true. The biggest improvement in lifespan for human beings is the fact that we started doing better sanitation, and the fact that we started eating better. Okay. Now, did science contribute to those things? A little bit, sure, not that
For sure.
much.
Yeah, no, it does. It's everything. Science is what
Oh
it.
no, that's the thing. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying to you. Don't overestimate what it does. It's possible that medical science is actually having a detriment to our health. For example, they call it, when the doctor causes this person to die, they call it iatrogenic death. Okay, that is one of the leading causes of death right now.
Mm,
Iatrogenic death. The doctor caused the death. Okay, the doctors have led to the medical science has led to the opioid crisis. You
mm.
know, opioid crisis has caused untold misery all over the world. Right. So these things shouldn't be just hand waved,
No, they're
because
not.
yeah,
They're
you know
not.
what I mean.
They're not.
So
I'm
and
not doing that.
also the claim that our improved health or our improved like lifespan is due to medical science is not true either, you know. So these kind of things, you know. But anyway, you know what,
No.
brother? I'm so sorry. I didn't realize the time's going by so fast, but I have to go.
All
But
right.
I'm glad you came on. Think about coming on again, okay, please.
Yeah,
And
always.
really nice
Yeah.
talking to you. Always a pleasure.
Same.
And
You have a
yeah,
good one,
man.
man.
Love you, brother. Thanks for
Love you
coming on,
too, man.
and
Peace.
I'll talk to you
Have
soon,
a
all
good one.
right? All right. God bless,
You
brother.
too. Peace.
Peace. All right, so everyone, thanks for coming out today. Sorry about the mix-up with that other guy. My boy Tribulate. Who I still like the guy, but he's disrespectful about this religion stuff. That's how these people are. But I'm gonna go to my Discord. We're having the Discord hangouts. If you guys aren't a member of my Discord, join my Discord. Okay, I'll put the invite here. Join my Discord, and we're having a hangout right now. Or if not, join it later, whatever. Just we're gonna talk and hang out there, okay? And I'll talk to you soon, and thanks for watching. Oh wait, let me just hang on. Thanks for watching Toronto Bible Study. Hallelujah.
Okay. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Studying the Bible with Mike, Sam, Pat. These other YouTubers are just so trash. Hit the thumbs up if you want to support. Go follow Mike as he follows the Lord. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 You better watch out, Mike's calling out the shields. If you're not free grace, you need to sit down and chill. We're not hyper grace, you know we keep it real. Eternally secure, you know that we're sealed. We don't back low, we're not workspace heretics. Mike's not in it for the money, trying to get a lick. They out here selling their souls for a couple clicks. Becoming Freemasons so they can't just get rich. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Shout out to Mike, Sam, Pat. Check out his channel, Toronto Bible Study. Subscribe and like.